We'll do it live! Fuck it!
Hello and welcome to Secular Views Shethinkers, where girls geek out and justifiably rage about the week's news. I'm your host, Dory Mooneyham, and joined by my co-host, Shara Akers.
Hey, I took off my bajillion earring and it fits a lot better with my headphones now.
That's the Dirty Nerdy.
Hello. What's wrong, Dirty Nerdy?
No, I'm good.
You sound troubled. I was just wondering if something might have happened.
Well, right before we went on the air.
It's okay.
Don't laugh at everybody's laughing at me now.
I'm laughing at the situation.
The situation's pretty hilarious.
It's
Dory was using the vanilla vodka, and then she put it back down on the table, and then it started to fall, and it almost fell on it did fall on the laptop, and I couldn't catch it because I was double fisting 2 drinks at the same time. I almost started crying, and then Dory was like, "It's okay, it's screwed on," and I was started laughing and crying at the same time, and
then I told her not to cry over spilled vodka or not.
And it was hilarious, but I was still crying.
Yeah, you were half crying. You were craffing.
I'm laugh crying right now over the frustration of trying to get this goddamn podcast working.
Yeah, technical difficulties happen in podcasting, folks.
It happens.
We figured it out.
We did.
It's okay.
You just test a lot of things, and then you have, you know.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I don't mean to start the whole podcast all crazy and stuff. I'm just gonna drink more. You guys talk.
Yeah,
So, tonight's topic is on superstitions, in honor of today's date, Friday the 13th.
I went too long.
We'll also crown our troll and boss of the week and review this week's book, Parenting Beyond Belief by Dale McGowan, which has been brought to you by our first sponsor ever.
Yay! We're a real pod.
Love us too.
Yeah.
But not really. No. Explicit content.
No.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/shethinkers. They have over 100,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player, including tonight's book review, Parenting Beyond Belief by Dale McGowan. So let's start killing some trolls. Troll of the week.
Well, we probably shouldn't say we're killing them because we're
Well,
not actually
I
killing
mean
anything.
metaphorically. You know, like troll in the dungeon or something.
Yeah, it's a D&D joke.
Yeah. Killing the trolls, smiting them. Smiting
the trolls.
I feel left out. I haven't been able to get a D&D group together, and I've only played it a couple times.
I
you
think
guys
we
are
could
just
do
making
this.
me more sad now. Let's just go on.
Have her roll some die. That'll make her feel a lot better.
I've got
We're actually.
out downstairs.
I'll play with your dice bag later. If you want to see it.
Oh, God.
Or is it dice bags?
I've got, if we're going with euphemism, I do have 2 dice bags actually.
Hooray for euphemism!
You guys just made a new.
I'll just go back to double fisting.
Yeah.
My drinks. Duh.
Oh my goodness.
Alright, so our first troll this week is George Zimmerman, because fuck that guy.
Yeah.
I'd flip him off, but I'm holding 2 drinks right now.
So George Zimmerman threatened his wife, and then she didn't press charges because that happens in domestic disputes all the time. The good news is that his lawyer is not going to represent him anymore. He's a fucking jackass and didn't pay his legal fees.
Yes, people, please pay your lawyers.
Especially if they, you know, are so good that you're found innocent after killing a teenager.
How much of a douchebag do you have to be to not pay your lawyer who got you off on that charge? Really?
Yeah.
That'd be like if O.J. Simpson didn't pay Johnny Cochran. Like,
Johnny Cochran was a good lawyer.
Well, This was almost another Chewbacca defense. Almost.
Almost. It's so close.
As somebody who will be working in law offices pretty soon, pay your goddamn lawyers.
Right? It's not a fucking hard concept.
They work hard, and you know what? They put up a lot of money up front to put up defenses and help you in court.
Well, the other thing is if you're a person who likes to carry around guns with you everywhere, you should probably have a good lawyer. Just saying.
Senator just went up my nose. You know, guys, this is what happens when we start an hour late. And I'm already drunk.
We've been drinking for an hour.
Hey, you're hour and a half.
You have a drinking problem, like in the airplane sense. You know how to drink. I got a burn in his face.
It's not quite at that level yet.
It's just coming out of your nose. It's all good.
Only when I'm around you guys.
I only drink during this show.
Problem on the show.
I'm gonna tap my own drinks because I'm having
Clinkies, my own drinkies. I'm just gonna sip on some coffee here.
Did you put vanilla vodka in your coffee?
No,
Because
some
all
hazel.
did, and it's amazing.
Yummy.
I just have some hazelnut coffee made.
Wait, so what were we supposed to be talking about? The
We're-
troll? Zimmerman.
We're basically saying that Zimmerman's an asshole.
Yeah.
We're gonna move on to the next story now. That's really all that needs to be said about George.
Zimmerman, and the next guy.
Our next troll of the week is DC Comics, who was already a troll last week when they canceled the marriage Batwoman was going to have.
Yep. And so what's going on this week?
Well, and it's, to be fair, it's not that DC is like gay hating, it's that they're marriage hating. They don't want any of their characters to be married.
Yeah, you can't settle down, otherwise you won't be dark and, you know,
Can they
mysterious.
be domestic partnered?
I don't know.
Don't know.
The Incredibles got married and they had, you know, superhero children, so, you know, there's something to say about getting married if you're a superhero.
Well, and it's a trend that's been going. It started when I was leaving the comic shop, which was, Christ, I think that was like 4 years ago now. Yeah, just about. First they like completely retconned Spider-Man so that he wasn't married to Mary Jane anymore. And then it just like all went downhill from there. They were like, yeah, people want their superheroes to be single so they can fuck around. And I tried to tell them
What?
that they could just have open marriages, but apparently that wasn't a popular decision.
We don't like polyamory in these parts. Yeah.
So,
That'll be acceptable maybe 4 or 5, you know, decades.
so anyway, DC and Marvel are just against marriage in general right now, because apparently the only people who read comics are single people who want to see their superheroes fuck a lot of different people.
You can still fuck a lot of people though when you're married. I don't understand.
I know.
I don't
You know that, and I know that, and
And
Dirty
I know
Nerdy knows that.
I'm glad you said Dirty Nerdy because I was about to say my name in the third person.
No.
Okay.
No!
I'm going to keep
So-
your
I don't know for one of our jobs. No.
So DC's fuck up this week. They were like, hey, do you want to be a comic book artist for us? Just send in pictures of Harley Quinn trying to commit suicide. They had 4 panels that they wanted fans to submit, each of which were her attempting suicide in different ways. Now, you know, to play devil's advocate, I can see how this would be, you know, typical dark humor that's usually involved in Harley Quinn comics. So I can see how it could be not horrific if it was in the right context. But if you're going to pull 4 panels for your fans to submit to you, why the hell would you make them, hey, draw us a naked suicidal Harley Quinn? That's going to get you shitty press.
I mean,
Maybe they're going for the route of, you know, if there's a bunch of controversy, then it'll be talked about a lot.
I guess. But yeah, the first panel is Harley Quinn's holding a lightning rod trying to get struck by lightning and it's not working. The second one is she's...
I could see that being actually really funny.
I know. See these being funny? Like, the fourth one is kind of icky, but...
The fourth one is the ickiest
The
one
fourth
to
one's
me.
the icky one. The first three are kind of funny. The second one, she's in a pond full of alligators, and she has, like, raw chicken strapped to her, and is trying to get them to eat her.
That's... Yeah.
I know. And then the third one...
I'm trying not to laugh. It's happening. Sorry.
The third one, she's sitting in a whale's mouth, and she's like trying to tickle his mouth to get him to swallow her whole.
Yeah.
Okay, that just doesn't work.
No, it doesn't say whale. It says great fish. Sorry, I just wanted to make fun of Christians real quick. But then the fourth one has her sitting naked in a bathtub. Like, I'm fairly certain you don't sit clothed in a bathtub, but whatever. She's naked in a bathtub, and she has electrical appliances dangling over the bathtub, and she's getting ready to drop them in. Like, that's not funny like the other ones are.
Yeah, the first three are funny because nobody tries to commit suicide by strapping raw chicken to themselves
and throwing themselves in an alligator pond.
That is only something Harley Quinn would do, but...
Actually, I'm pretty sure I saw Jackass do something similar with a rope over some alligators.
They're not
with some
actually
stuff
suicidal,
coming out of
though.
there. Yeah.
And it's Jackass.
Yeah, I think they were just
Yeah.
being dumb.
But, like, the last one is something that actual suicidal people sometimes try to do. I mean, maybe not with multiple appliances, but
people throw a toaster in the bathtub.
People
I mean,
do that. So, yeah, and it's the one that has her, like, again, yes, people get naked in the bathtub, but the other ones, you're assuming she at least has clothes on, and then this one, it's like, she's not, and it adds an extra bit of sexuality
sex and violence
to a suicide scene that isn't necessary when they were able to come up with three other not great, but panels that I can see are
see
funny.
those being hilarious.
I could
The
see
first
that.
three, I'm like, yeah, it seems like something in a Harley Quinn comic. Like, and then the fourth one, I'm like, seriously, come on, what the fuck?
That one's just, no, that's too realistic, I guess. I don't
Right?
know.
No, I think
And
that's
then-
my problem with it, is that the fourth one
Yeah,
is...
because they're trying to get the lightning bolts coming down from the sky, and it's almost a similar death, because it's electrocution.
But it's funny.
If I'm imagining somebody going up to a tall building to kill themselves in real life, I'm not going to think that they're trying to get themselves electrocuted.
No, you're thinking they're going to jump off the building.
Yeah. So it adds this, like, weird dark humor type twist that's melodramatic that Harley Quinn would try.
Yeah, that's part of the Harley Quinn and Joker humor, is it's always dark humor.
And I love Harley. That's one of the reasons I love Harley Quinn, because they normally do such a great job with the dark humor.
Yeah.
But with this, it's like, if they had stuck with just the first three panels, I may have been...
I don't think we'd even be talking about this.
I don't think we would.
Probably wouldn't be, because honestly, if it was just the first three panels, I probably would have seen the headline and been like, what the fuck, what's wrong with these people? And then read it, and I'd have been like, oh, those are kind of funny.
It's like, that sounds
like
hilarious.
Harley Quinn, I'm okay with that,
The last one is just a little too close for home, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
So we don't like the fourth panel.
No.
Sorry.
And plus, if you're going to have, like, fans submit their artwork in order to get their foot in the door, stuff like that, why would you even need to rip suicide jokes completely out of context and have them draw those?
Yeah,
I mean,
there's so many different things you could have had your fans draw.
Yeah. They could have had them draw Harley Quinn doing so many awesome things that she does. I don't know. It sounds like somebody down the line should have said, hey, maybe there's something cool they could have her they could draw her doing, not trying to kill herself.
Maybe we could do something that's not a terrible idea.
Maybe we could have them draw her trying to kill Robin or something. That would be cool.
Right.
I guess.
That would be actually awesome.
So it's something she's done. She's kidnapped Robin before.
Yeah. Well, and like I
tried to kill him in comical ways.
I mean,
Yeah.
like the first three panels, the reason why I like them is because they're kind of Looney Tune-esque.
Yeah.
But again, like, it's her trying to kill herself, which makes it kind of dark and funny.
It's a great mix. I think it's a great mix, and it portrays her character perfectly.
Yeah,
but the last one, I think it's too realistic of an actual suicide, and the nudity, that's all it's opening it up for. I'm fine with nudity, I really am.
I don't like mixing sex and violence, though, because that
I don't
happens
either.
often enough, and not that I'm against, like, kink or anything like that. I don't want anybody to get the wrong impression about that, because, yeah,
But
no.
that's different, though.
That's completely different, but, you know, sex and violence gets mixed so often, especially with women, and then it just makes people, you know, do nasty things, and, yeah, not good.
Yeah.
Not cool.
Not cool, DC. Not cool. And you just, really, the honest thing is why wasn't there anyone going,
I don't know.
man, that one?
Yeah.
Those ones are cool, but,
Maybe we should try it.
I mean, we're pushing the envelope, that's cool, but can we just not do that one?
Yeah, and I'm not saying that they couldn't possibly make the bathtub scene
Funny.
dark humor comedy,
You could have.
but being ripped
Death by Rubber Ducky, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, but being ripped from the context and having this be the way that you have somebody get their foot in the door in the industry, it's just no.
Yeah.
Yeah, just no. Oh my God, we have pizza up here,
Yeah.
everybody. This is
Yeah, and the pizza
Hey,
is
Chris
well
brought
on
me ranch.
Yay.
Okay.
Your boyfriend is cool.
He is
I'm gonna
cool.
do this.
He's my fiance now.
Oh yeah, Beyonce. Fiance sounds too fancy.
I guess.
My
My
fiance.
You can't, we'll have to say it that way.
Fiancé.
Or fiancé.
My future husband. How about that?
Husband. All right, that's better.
My future ball and chain.
Here's my plate from the other pizza we had earlier.
Oh,
I was like my future ex-wife. I always thought that was hilarious.
before we move on, we want to thank Femme Furry for giving us the Harlequin story.
Hooray, Femme Furry. And if I'm not mistaken, that is the same Femme Furry who is, I think, the host or the co-host of the horror podcast. It is I think it's like a feminine critique of horror movies.
Yeah,
I can't remember exactly how
but it's horror with a W.
Horror with a W, like whore.
WHORER, right?
I think so,
Yeah.
something like that.
Listen to them, they're awesome.
They're
Yeah,
awesome.
they're awesome. I love their podcast. One of my favorite ones is their one on Event Horizon, and then they had their most recent one on The Shining. I think they've done more than one on The Shining. But, yeah, go listen to them. They're super cool. Thank you, Femme Furry.
Yay.
All right, segue.
Segue. Next is Fox News is our next troll.
When are they not?
I know. Apparently, they're fairly certain that the conflict in Syria is a biblical prophecy. And it...
Alright, yeah, read to us their evidence of this.
Their evidence, quote unquote. I guess this is, as good as creationism evidence. Isaiah 17:1, which has already happened according to the Bible.
Yes.
But
So it's a prophecy about the past.
which are really easy to fulfill.
Yeah.
Turns out.
Well, Isaiah and, like, Jeremiah, stuff like that, it was more political commentary than prophecy, but whatever.
Yeah.
True, but I mean, there were some predictions about what the future may hold. I don't consider them prophecies. I consider them, people predicting the downfall. If
Yeah,
they continue down a particular path, it was a warning of like, hey.
It was, hey, if you do this, this is gonna happen.
Right, it wasn't like, this is going to happen, so saith the Lord. It wasn't stuff like that. It was more like, hey, yeah, you keep being a total jerk. You're going to have a bad time.
Bad time. Not to say that I, believe any of this stuff, but, yeah.
But, I mean, honestly, people do listen to the news all the time, though. People will be on the news and they'll say, hey, if this happens, this is going to happen. You hear the talking heads all the time saying this. Is this going to go prophets?
Isaiah was basically the political pundit.
Mm-hmm.
So, what this political pundit says, Isaiah 17:1, behold, Damascus is about to be removed from being a city. God, the Bible is so horribly written. Sorry. And will become ruin.
You can do better.
God needed a fucking editor. That's all. There are 20 different points of view. It's all over the place. The writing is just awkward and clunky.
It's postmodern, all right? The boy is reading this postmodern book right now, and he didn't realize it was postmodern when he started reading it. It's for this lit class he has to take.
Yeah.
And so he was telling me about it. He's like, it makes no sense, and it keeps switching viewpoints, and I won't even realize that it switched viewpoints until, like, 3 pages in or something. And then he went to class, like, the first class after they started reading this book. He comes back, he's like, dirty nerdy, it's postmodern. That's why I don't get it. And last night, I think he spent, like, an hour or something reading it, like, while I was home, and he finally put it down, and he's like, yeah, I officially do not understand this book. Let's watch it.
It's a good palate cleanser. It's some adventure time.
I love adventure time.
And their brilliant evidence is that, OMG, there are Syrian refugees, and this says people are going to flee Damascus. Therefore, God.
Wait. It says, this says people are going to flee. Where is it that it says that? In Jeremiah, right?
Yep.
I'm pretty sure people have been fleeing cities forever.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, but they linked
Possibly those particular cities.
Isaiah 17 to Jeremiah 49.
Yeah.
Yeah, dirty nerdy's right.
As if it's supposed to be read in chronological order. Like,
It is. Don't get it. You're interpreting it wrong.
You're taking it out of
You're
context.
interpreting it incorrectly.
I'm taking it out of context.
We're atheists. We always take it out of context,
I'm
even when we're
taking
not.
the 2 random verses that they just pushed together out of
We're
context.
taking it out of context. They're cherry picking.
You know, this is why I stopped studying eschatology back when I was a Christian, because it didn't make any fucking sense.
It does make sense if you try to see it from their viewpoint, which is a little confusing.
Yeah, because they just took random verses from Isaiah and matched them up with random verses from Jeremiah and Hezekiah, and then put it in with random verses from Revelation.
Prophecy. Political pundits of our days.
So everyone knows at home, I've been gesticulating wildly the whole time I was doing that.
Yes.
It's kind of dangerous. I think I'm going to get hit pretty soon.
Hey, it's my hand on my other side.
Oh, okay.
I'm holding pizza with the other hand.
You just gotta whack her in the face with a pizza.
No, I don't move this hand because I don't want to drop the pizza.
Oh, pizza is important.
Priorities, man.
Priorities.
This
So-
pizza is delicious.
Yes. So, thanks to Chris Mockmer for giving us the Fox News story. I'm gonna say this dude's name wrong. Rand Paul?
Yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say Paul Rand, because he's named after Ayn Rand, like a douche.
Yeah, Ron is his first name.
His dad is Ron Paul, so what are you going to
Yeah. And apparently the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, because he thinks water is not a right, and if you're poor, sucks to be you.
He's not the first person to come up with this idea.
Does he think that we should, like, have to put in a quarter to use a water fountain or
I
something?
guess.
He's very much into paying your dues for things. He doesn't like anything like socialism and the fact that we're clean from socialism.
Water fountains are socialist, goddammit.
Yeah. Well, no, there are countries, and I kid you not, they do charge people for water, and you can get fined for collecting rainwater. You can get fined for it.
What the hell?
Because the villagers are, like, very thirsty, and they go put the bowls out to try to collect some water, and they can get in trouble for it. That's illegal. So, I mean...
But they're trying to pull themselves up by the bootstraps. So they need bootstraps for the bootstraps.
Yo, dog, I heard you
By
like
the
bootstraps. Now, I like this story because not only do we get to make fun of Rand Paul, but we also get to make fun of Chris Christie. Because there's
What
a
did
great
Chris
Chris
Christie say?
Christie's quote in here. Well, apparently both of them are, like, arguing with each other. I love when Republicans argue with each other because it's just hysterical to watch.
It is.
You just want to, like, get some popcorn and watch for
I hate
15
poor
minutes.
people the most. No, I hate
But Chris Christie has this lovely quote. I think we have some folks who believe that our job is to be college professors. Now, college professors are fine, I guess. Being a college professor, they basically spout out ideas that nobody does anything about. That's what a college professor does. Now you know.
I didn't know that was their job.
Because my
It's
college,
pretty good to do that.
my college professors are teaching me how to,
Wow.
like, draft legal stuff and I'm pretty sure I have to actually do that in my real job.
Has Chris to go to college?
I'm going to say no. Colleges just brainwash you to be part of the liberal agenda. Don't you know that?
They really hate college, don't they?
You know, I'm going to be perfectly honest here. The only professors I've ever had that pushed any type of political ideology were my right-wing professors. All the ones I knew that I found out later were like super liberal personally, didn't push any ideology. They were like, hey, this is the facts.
The only liberal professor, like openly liberal professor I had was my sociology professor, but he was like so awesome. He had tenure, and he had basically decided that he was going to educate all of the privileged white children that came through his college about what was fucking wrong with everything in the world. That's all his class was. Like,
yeah, my white privilege isn't working in this class.
it was hysterical part of that class.
As hard as I possibly can.
It's still working.
Is it ever off?
Yeah, it's never off.
That's still one of my favorite classes I've been in, because I was
Sounds awesome. I want to go to Tito.
It was epic. No, this was actually at Collin, when I was still going to Collin College.
Damn it.
He's the head of the sociology department, and he's just fucking great. Like, you should take his class.
I think with my professors, I can only speculate what they were about because, you know, they would just do certain things. Like, I remember I had a history teacher that would just go on and on about how great Andrew Jackson was. Well, he technically was a Democrat, but the stuff he did was horrible. Like, he had the Trail of Tears and all that stuff. So, like,
I had a
where is he
history
standing?
professor at UTA who said, who was it? Like, Polk was the greatest president ever. And
What?
Polk.
Okay, that's
Because of one thing, because he promised to do like 4 main things in his campaign, and he accomplished all 4 of those things and then didn't run again. But he,
I think
because this is the guy who like ended up, like, you know, remember the Trail of Tears?
Yeah.
This was
Yes.
under this guy's presidency.
Aww.
So he qualified it with that. It was like, if you follow this criteria, this guy was the best president ever.
Andrew Jackson did have a bullet when he was walking around, so that's pretty cool.
The criteria of human decency, no. But yeah.
But if you follow at least he said he was gonna, at least he did what he said he was gonna do.
Consistent. We like consistency.
Yeah. Anyways, what were we talking about?
We're making fun
Chris Christie.
and Rand Paul.
They don't like professors in education and water.
No, they like water. They just don't like that poor people have access to it.
Oh, yeah, because that's a problem. Yeah, this idea that things are not right. I would like to point out that in the Bill of Rights, it actually says there's a bunch of stuff not listed here that is still a right.
Oh,
It's in there.
That is my favorite amendment.
It's my favorite amendment, too.
I
It's not in the Constitution. It says there's stuff not in the Constitution, damn it.
You know why they put that in?
Because it's like never going to pop up in the
If you
future.
read the Federalist Papers, they specifically say that they put in the 9th Amendment so that assholes and douchebags can't say, oh, well, you didn't explicitly make that a right. Derp, derp.
Derpy derp.
9th
Yeah.
Amendment, bitches.
Yeah.
Read it.
Yeah, so.
But
There's a right. Sorry.
basically Rand Paul is like, oh no,
Like
people need to
healthcare.
get paid for water, which is not the argument that's being made at all. It's just who pays for the water. So,
Yeah.
Everybody.
yeah, everybody.
So.
And it's subsidized by the government, just like all those agriculture subsidies that go to help, you know,
Corn farmers.
their constituents.
We have subsidies for different kinds of stuff, including things that help benefit him and his family. So there's absolutely no reason for him to say
If
that.
he drives on a fucking road, then he needs to
Yeah.
shut his goddamn mouth.
If he has his house and his house burns down, if he has cops pulling people over, making sure they're not driving drunk on the roads that he's driving with his family.
That's George Zimmerman.
See, that's the problem with libertarians. Yeah, I'm gonna hate on libertarians. Come at me, bro.
We're gonna get some hate mail.
I'm sure. I hope for some hate
mail. Where people can go.
If you want to send us hate mail, our email is secularShethinkers@gmail.com.
Yeah, Chandler was looking at me when she said that, and I was like, I don't know what the fuck her email is.
You said you want the hate mail. You said send it to me.
I want the hate mail too.
I will personally.
What's your competition?
Hate mail.
Who has the worst hate mail? And once we start rolling it, we're gonna compare and contrast our hate mail.
All right. I'm just gonna start sending myself hate mail. She called me a poo-poo head.
You could do better than that.
Come on.
Come on.
Don't put me on the spot.
Alright, yeah, I don't know, I lost my train of thought. Oh, libertarians. And same goes for people who are like, socialism is evil, schmurp-a-derp, and I'm just like, okay, unless you somehow find a way to not use roads, to not use public education, to not use the fucking military, to not use cops, to not use firefighters, to not use hospitals, to not use federally subsidized agriculture, the list goes on and on.
I just want to take a libertarian.
Can we just take all the libertarians, put them on an island, and make them shut the fuck up when they all kill each other?
We can actually have a libertarian on the show and talk to her.
That's exactly what I was gonna say, and you didn't let me finish.
I'm sorry.
Hey, I think that's what I was going to do with the gays. They were going to put them in a fenced place. That way they can't have more gay babies, and that's apparently how the gays are being bred.
How do gay people have gay babies?
I don't know. This is
your effort.
I'm gonna go and make a gay baby.
Oh my gosh.
I'll die trying. I don't know.
There's so much stupid in the world.
I know.
Oh, and so much of it is libertarians.
At least
They're libertarians.
What's next?
Alright, the slut-shaming dad is next.
Hey, slut-shaming dad, I'm wearing short shorts now. Fuck you.
Yeah. Take that, Scott McIntosh.
I'd like to see him on my top right now.
I really
I think he wear it properly.
Every single fucking news story I saw in this was calling him awesome and best man ever.
Yeah, good job. Blah, blah, blah.
I like the Fox News watchers, because like if you looked at his shirt actually talked about how great of a father he is, and like the Fox News people will be like, yeah, at least I watch Fox News because it's fair and balanced. And I'm like, that's what the quote is from the screen. You're not really thinking for yourself, are you? It's exactly that thing. Everybody was calling him a great dad because he's wearing a shirt that says great dad. He's not a great dad. He's a horrible father. He is teaching his daughter horrible things, and he's demeaning her and treating her horribly. And honestly, having the freedom of expression of who you are is so important. It is so important, and our children need to understand that, you're in society, so you're going to have to adjust a little bit, but you are still free to express yourself to a certain extent. I think that's such an important lesson, and having a father mock his child publicly like that for everybody to see is just disgusting.
You know what my favorite part of the story is? Before he did this, he and his wife tried to get their daughter to stop wearing them, and she said no. Just flat out did not listen to him. And I just want to say, hell yes. You go, asshole's daughter. You are awesome. Keep on wearing whatever the fuck you want to wear.
I can't even follow his logic. So, his daughter wears short shorts, and he tells her...
Short shorts?
She wears short shorts. And he's like, hey, you shouldn't wear those. People will think you're a slut. And she's like, fuck you, I'm going to keep wearing them. And then he wears short shorts also, and this is somehow supposed to teach her a lesson.
No, he's a slut. That's what he is.
If I were her, I would probably just do like some kind of YouTube video, show a picture of my father, and I'd be like, yeah, that's what I achieved this week. What the hell did you do? Stupid my dad.
I would so hard that he's walking around in short shorts this week.
I told my dad so hard, he's gonna wish I didn't troll him so hard.
Like back in the 80s was it, or the 70s? Guys did wear short shorts.
Yep, that's
I'm sorry. If a guy has a nice set of legs,
Okay.
you're gonna like them.
right.
I got really upset in the 90s when guys started wearing these huge shorts. You might as well just wear pants. They were
Yeah, the
practically
ones that
pants.
go below your knees. I'm like,
So horrible. And then they have their underwear hanging out. It's so, I would way rather go back to the teeny tiny shorts, personally.
did you guys ever read Calvin and Hobbes?
Yes.
The ones where Hobbes makes fun of Calvin for being short.
Yeah.
And he's like, why do you always wear pants in the summer? Isn't it hot? And he's like, these are shorts. I love
That's
that.
brilliant.
Ah, so much better than
But, I mean,
James had.
this is all about fashion, and people, this is something that I feel like America has a main problem with, not necessarily other countries, but they seem to think that this is the only fashion that has ever been at all times throughout all of history. Dude, check out the 1500s and look at what dudes were wearing back then. They had frilly, frou-frou, lacy things, and tank tops,
high
and
heels.
high heels, makeup,
Yep.
wigs, all these things were dude fashionable. Like,
Thanks, Pops.
I mean, seriously. And then they're like, oh, that's a girl thing. No! We stole that.
Stole your fashion. What you gonna do about it?
Deal with it.
Exactly. So I don't think people actually take fashion into a historical context.
No, they don't.
Well, and then the worst is, like, in this story, they're like, he's teaching her a lesson about modesty.
Fuck modesty.
I fucking hate the whole modesty bullshit.
Why is that important?
I
I'm trying to figure out. You know what's funny? One of my favorite meme pictures is a picture of a woman, and she's wearing a brown underwear, and she's like hiding herself, and she's like, oh no! But then you have her wearing something that's just the same amount of coverage. It's a bikini, and she's like, oh yeah, this is totally fine. That is our logic. It doesn't make any sense. Our modesty is based on what activity we're participating in. That is ridiculous.
It really is. And
well, and there's some people who would be like, oh, that bikini is so immodest.
you know what really pisses me off?
Fun.
Men can walk around without a shirt on, and I can't.
Right?
It's
Modesty.
I want to not wear a shirt while I take out the goddamn trash. I don't want to have to wear a shirt.
You don't wear a shirt ever.
I don't want to wear a shirt or pants or a bra or underwear.
I wish the whole world was clothing optional. Like, I'm not saying people can't wear clothing. I'm just saying I would be naked a lot more often if it was
You usually end up topless by the end of the show anyway. So.
I was topless earlier when we were trying to figure out what the hell was wrong with our
Yeah,
podcast.
when the podcast was having technical difficulties, you're like, I don't want a shirt to be removed. You don't have to bra, so.
I took all my clothes off and put on. All I have is like a slip. That's all I'm wearing right now.
Yep. You are immodest.
Yep.
You're being
Should
so
be
honest
ashamed.
right now.
Yeah,
I just can't keep my eyes off of your immodesty. Your body is a near occasion of sin for me.
Yep.
I
I'm
think-
probably asking for it.
I think Chris should, I think Chris should show you a lesson by putting your slip on and, show it.
It would fit on him.
Chris is gonna teach you a lesson. Because you know, in purity culture, your husband is your new dad.
Oh, that's so creepy.
Oh,
Oh,
oh
gosh.
man.
Oh, did I ruin everything?
Fuck
by
modesty.
mentioning that?
My brain.
Like, there are a lot of times where I'm like, man, sometimes I wish that, I wasn't trans, blah, 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 whatever. The whole modesty bullshit, since I did escape from Christianity, I'm glad I managed to escape the vast majority of that shit growing up.
It's really tough.
I've internalized a lot of it, but at least I didn't have to deal with it as a kid.
Modesty shit is the reason I stopped going to Sunday school when I was in 8th grade.
Yeah.
Hear that, Christians? I stopped going to Sunday school in 8th grade because of all the bullshit they were preaching about modesty. And it was because I knew for a goddamn fact that those dudes playing basketball upstairs in the gym were just as hot to me when they took off their shirts as I would be to them if I took off my shirt.
Yeah, but you're the one who needs to control their
The high school
thoughts.
teacher refused to admit it, that girls also were turned on by guys. She
Girls are really sexual.
Sexual? What are you talking about?
No.
You have to be tricked into having sex.
Oh,
Don't even get me started on that whole how are you gonna get her to have sex with you? I'm like, I don't know. If she's horny, she'll have sex with you.
I'm gonna ask for consent to have sex with her, and if she's willing to have sex with me, then we'll have sex. That's how it's going to happen.
That's not true.
This makes me need to pour another drink.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, so our troll nominees are...
Shh, I'm pouring a drink.
Glurg, glurg, glurg.
Alright, we have George Zimmerman, DC Comics, Fox News, Rand Paul, and the slut-shaming asshole dad.
Oh, this is such a hard
I'm going with the dad. That one's easy for me. I really cannot stand that kind of crap. It really does harm women, and
Yeah.
it was getting praised all over the place. Although I will say that his daughter really is a troll because no.
She's like a boss troll hybrid. It's amazing.
She's pretty awesome.
So, speaking of, I think I'm gonna nominate Dirty Nerdy
Yeah.
from Life News.
Dirty Nerdy got banned from LifeSite News. I thank Beth Presswood for getting me set on that site. On her Facebook feed, she always
That's what they...
You're at the monitor. I'm in public.
Yeah.
Of her.
And then I go over there and I'm like, fuck, I have to say something. And it always includes tons of expletives. So, yeah.
The curse words.
I didn't even know I was banned until I tried to post on something, I don't know, some homophobic bullshit.
Was
they
it
were
their,
posting.
gay marriage is evil one that you got
It
banned on?
was! It was that one. They were saying there was no kinship in gay marriage, and so I was like, what the hell? You just asserted that there's no kinship. You didn't really give a reason. And I had this whole big thing typed out, and then they were like, oh, you're not allowed to post here. And I was like, damn it.
The fuck?
So yeah, I lost my comment.
You're the ultimate troll.
Or LifeSite News is the ultimate troll. Provoking me into writing
Oh.
and then not letting me post
Good
it.
point.
If only it was actually was trolling and not real.
I'm not trying to troll them. I'm just like, you're terrible.
I
You're
know.
terrible. Wow, thanks for the nomination.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that. But now you're making me have to choose the deciding vote.
Well, we could just end up with a stalemate, unless you choose the slut-shaming dad or yourself.
I'm gonna have to go with Zimmerman because he's always a douchebag and he murdered a kid and got away with it.
And now he's, waving guns around at people and whacking people's parents in the nose.
So it goes to the listener now. Listeners, who should be the troll of the week? Should it be Zimmerman? Dirty Nerdy? That's me. Who was the other one? The slut-shaming dad. Send us your requests in the chat and we will announce it at the end of the show, I guess.
I guess.
All right. What's next? Boss of the week?
Boss of the week.
Like a boss.
Like a boss.
We need that drop.
I know.
So we can play it.
Okay, so the first one is like, I don't even need to read the others because this guy's like already won.
Okay, well, read the last one.
Okay, the last one. Alright, the next one, so there's this kid who's come up with an invention that he says could clean up all the plastic and other bullshit that's in the ocean in 5 years for relatively low cost as far as like cleaning up the whole damn ocean goes. It's cool, like, it's these little stations that he would set up in like strategic places around the globe that are basically like just big shit catchers that clean the ocean. It uses tides and everything else to push all of the garbage into it. It's really cool. But he had a TED Talk that's gone viral. So, I don't know. He's only 19. Like, how cool is that?
Is this the same kid that came up with a way of destroying the plastic using a bacteria?
I don't
Or is
think
that a different kid?
that's a different kid.
So what if they combined their forces and did a shit-catching thing in the ocean and then put the bacteria on the plastic? Then it's, a very grand way of cleaning up everything.
Yeah. It's just so cool. I mean, whenever I freak out about, like, holy crap, we're just, like, raping the earth and there's not going to be anything left for the next generation, then there's
Always hope.
yeah, then there's kids like this who are like, no, it's cool, I got this.
Scroll over the planet for us? Don't worry, I'll clean up your mess. Stupid old people. And you'll see tons of young people doing this kind of stuff nowadays. They do it without even a college education.
Yeah.
There was the kid who managed to make a little testing strip to detect what's a kind of cancer or some kind of a virus or some kind of disease that was killing lots and lots of people, including a close personal friend of his, a family friend.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what inspired him. And he actually went to labs and started studying it himself and came up with this idea. He actually found a way to make these really low-cost strips that you can use at home to test for the disease. And basically, it's something you can buy over the counter. It's like super duper cheap, and he doesn't want to charge people a lot of money. He probably can make a ton of money off of it. And he's like, no, I want people to be able to be cured of this. I want them to be able to detect it, because if they can detect it, then they'll be cured. So there's tons of young people studying science, using Google to come up with solutions.
The internet.
Yeah, and
Thank God for them internets.
that particular kid who did the testing strips, he was told by tons of scientists that his idea wouldn't work. And he went through like 100 different guys going to him like, hey, here's my idea, what do you think? Here's my idea, what do you think? They were like, oh, stupid little kid. And one person was like, I guess we can have you come around and try to test it out. And it ended up coming up with something really awesome. So.
And that's how science works. There's no grand conspiracy. Yeah, it might take you a while to get through if you've got a new, thought process. But eventually it gets through, and if it works, then it works. 'Cause science, bitches.
It works.
Alright, our next boss of the week is, this one's awesome. So, I love bashing on Abercrombie and Fitch because it's...
because they're douchebags.
I know.
So great.
I mean, they were douchebags to begin with, and then there was, like, the whole fat-shaming thing that went on, and
Yep.
There's so many reasons to not like Abercrombie and Fitch.
The fact that their clothes are not very, attractive on people.
Their
clothes-
They're just like t-shirts with their logo on it. And then they charge, $80 for it. Are you serious?
You stole my point. Half of their clothes are just you paying $80 to advertise for them,
Mm-hmm.
which I think
Walking
is
by one.
stupid.
Yep.
Why am I paying to advertise for you?
When I was, 8 or 9 years old, my mom got me, apparently Consumer Reports makes a kids magazine.
Cool.
And my mom got me one of those.
Your mom is awesome.
Yeah,
I love
really?
my mom. But she got me one of those, and one of the things that they pointed out was like, why would you pay to be a billboard? Like, that was one of the articles. And ever since then, I was like, holy fuck, why would I pay money to be a billboard? Fuck that, I'm never wearing logos. I've never worn logos. Unless it's like a band or something that I'm actively wanting to support, then...
I think I wore a logo once. It was, I don't even remember what brand it is, but it was because the shirt looked cool.
Yeah.
And then their logo happened to be, up at the top or something. But otherwise, the shirt, had a cool design and stuff.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I was cool with it. I was okay with that. But for the most part, no.
I don't know.
Don't be a billboard.
I generally take hand-me-downs from people because I don't like shopping. So people are like, I don't like this shirt anymore. And I'm like, I'll take it. I'll take a hand-me-down. So if it happens to have a logo on it, I don't really care. I'll wear it. But I'm just really lazy and cheap. So it sometimes happens.
So, this employee was... a judge just ruled that she was wrongfully fired. She was a Muslim employee who wore a hijab, a headscarf. And apparently that doesn't fly with the Abercrombie dress code.
Your scarf goes around your neck without your shirt on.
Basically, the judge ruled that it was an unlawful firing and that you can't discriminate on somebody because of their religion. Hooray, First Amendment.
Hooray! I just want to see the, Pastafarian with a spaghetti strainer on their head
I know,
for work.
I almost fell over just now.
I mean, and there's a lot of, like, Dirty Nerdy and I have had extremely frustrating conversations with people about
Oh my god.
the difference between supporting somebody's religious right and being supportive of whatever goofy thing.
In fact, you can find that conversation on the Dirty Nerdy
on the Dirty Nerdy Facebook page.
Oh, I had apparently a friend of mine that was supporting a ban on hijabs and headscarves and coverings and everything, and I was just like, fuck you.
And you're like, I'm uncomfortable.
She was somebody who assumed that any woman wearing them was automatically a victim.
Oh my gosh, I cannot stand
And
it.
like, first of all, that's patronizing.
It is patronizing.
Second of all, if you think they're a victim, why would you criminalize the way in which they are victimized?
Right.
Then you're just double victimizing them.
I know. It's like, then it's like, they're damned if they wear it and they're damned if they don't. And I'm just like, fuck those laws. People should be allowed to wear whatever the fuck they
Well,
want.
I know there's plenty of women who were raised Christian, who are just your typical white girl, and then they get exposed to the Quran, enjoy the book, and decide to go put a hijab on. Like, it's not necessarily that someone, like, they come from a country where they're being forced to put it on.
And there are plenty of
People make the
Christian,
choice to.
there are plenty of Christian and Jewish and other religious denominations. I avoid the word sex.
Sounds like sex.
Sounds like sex.
Not
I can't
good on a
say it.
podcast.
I can't say it.
It's not a good podcast word.
Anyways, there are plenty of Christian and Jewish denominations that also require their women to wear head coverings. And you
Yep.
know what? I don't hear anyone trying to ban those.
Yeah.
So it almost seems a tad racist.
I'm also pretty sure that Mary has a head cover.
I was trying to ban nun habits.
I know, it's so dumb.
I mean, Islamophobia is just creepy and gross.
Even if you're not willing to say that it's racist, which I'm perfectly willing to say it's racist, it is xenophobic.
It is, yeah.
I will definitely
Yeah.
agree with that one.
And, you know, like,
It's at least that.
It was at least that.
I'm all about providing a safe environment where women, if they decide that they don't want to wear the headscarf anymore, can make that decision.
And you know what?
I respect their right to make whatever the fuck decision they're gonna make.
I work in the general public, and a lot of Muslims come into where I work, a lot of Muslim families, and you know what? I've seen so many come in where the mother is wearing the full, I don't know what to call it, not a burqa, but she's wearing the full,
She's covered.
yeah, she's covered. And then her daughters are just wearing whatever the hell they want. A
Yeah.
couple of them might have their head covered, their heads covered, and then one of them might not. And it's pretty obvious that there's still
People are making choices. Yeah.
They're making choices, and that's what I'm all for. Make your own goddamn choices. And I cannot accept bans or disciplining women who wear the head covering. I cannot accept that as anything other than victimizing women all over again.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm upset that you're being, I mean, if you're upset that someone's being forced to wear it, why the fuck would you then criminalize them for it?
Because then you're forcing them to not wear it.
I know.
I can't remember what it was, but it was
It's wrong to force women to wear something by forcing them to not wear something.
Yeah, I'm like, why don't you criminalize the people who are forcing them to wear it
Right.
somehow? I don't know how that would happen practically. I don't know how you could make that law, which shows just how terrible these laws are. But
It reminds me of this movie. I can't remember what it was, but there was a bunch of women going to college, and one of the women decided, you know what, I want to be a stay-at-home mom and have children and take care of the house and do all those things. And her friends were like, we fought so hard so you can go to school and do all these things, and you just want to be a stay-at-home mom. And she's like, this was about choices, and I choose to do this, and you guys should be totally cool with that instead of ragging on me about
That's what
it.
feminism is
That's
about.
real feminism.
Women making their own fucking choice about what they want to do.
Right.
Not being forced
Yeah,
to
and
do
it's like-
something.
Not a real like, creed that you have to live by.
And right now, I'm getting my career started, but if 10 years from now, me and the boy sit down and realize that, hey, maybe it would be better for one of us to stay at home, and in this instance, it would probably be best for you to stay at home, I'd probably be okay with it if that's what we need to do as a family.
Right.
If it ends
It
up
depends on the
he needs to
time, the
stay at
price,
home,
and everything.
if he needs to stay at home, he'll stay at home. If neither of us need to, then neither of us will. And
There are a lot of fathers raising their children nowadays,
Sure.
though, and I think it's awesome. By the way, I've read a whole bunch of blogs of
also
fathers
when
doing it.
anyone's a good parent.
Right, it really is. But I mean, it's one of those things that it's constantly perpetuated by a large number of people in this country that it's the woman's job to do this stuff, and it's like, no, dudes are pretty good at it too.
You know what's sad?
Dudes are good at being parents if you allow them to be good at being parenting. There's
Mhm.
so many fucking messages that say, like, men are stupid, men don't know how to take care of children, men are just idiots who just need to be placated by like, all the stupid shit that goes on in primetime television. It's always like a fat, unattractive, stupid dad.
Put the lid on.
It's all like Peter Griffins and Homer Simpsons. Like,
Yeah.
and then they're with their hot, super intelligent, why the hell is she with this asshole wives?
Yep, and then we all assume, oh, men wouldn't be very good at
But
taking
then,
care of the
of course,
children.
I was just thinking about this the other day. It's like, yeah, they have the bumbling husband trope, but then of course their smart wife is also shown as being a nagging bitch who's just an asswife.
That too.
Doesn't make sense.
The prime example, Everybody Loves Raymond. Deborah
Oh,
is
God.
fucking smart. She's college educated.
Yep.
She used to have a career. And then the one episode they show where she wants to go to work, she gets fired for incompetence. And she lies about why she was fired.
Yeah.
And it's like,
I couldn't stand that show.
seriously,
That show made me...
I couldn't stand it either.
I
but
couldn't even sit through it.
I hated that show.
There's so many reasons I hated that show.
I've seen like every episode because my mom loved it, and I watched TV with my mom a lot when I was growing up.
Yep.
For me, I think my childhood was set once I watched The 3 Men and a Baby.
Oh man.
Like, because, you know,
That movie.
they did show, there's a lot of things that these bachelor guys, not all men, but bachelor guys who are out partying and having a good old time, and they have a lot of money and all that stuff, they get presented with a baby, and they have to deal with it. And they did it well!
Yeah,
they
they
were good! Good dads. All 3 of them were dads in that movie. I don't care what anybody says. That baby had 3 dads, and it was so
I'm
awesome.
sure that baby ended up okay, even though there are tons of urban legends about ghosts being in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
But that's later.
That's what they in the show.
But, I mean, back to the whole idea that women are, like, people dogging on women making a choice to stay at home. I really can't stand, I especially can't stand it when I hear feminists dog on another woman
Yeah.
for choosing to be a stay-at-home wife. You know why? Because growing up, I learned this from the patriarchy, from growing up in a, I'm gonna go off on this shit.
Right.
Until I was about 12 or 13, I thought anything that was culturally coded as feminine was stupid and not valued, was not worth doing. So I avoided dressing like a girl. I was a huge tomboy, not necessarily because that's what I was actually interested in, but because I picked up the messages that girls are dumb, that girl stuff is dumb and not valued. And when I became a teenager, when I was like 13 or 14, I realized that's fucking stupid. There's nothing wrong with wanting to dress up every once in a while.
Or liking babies.
There's nothing
or
wrong with learning how to cook and
Clean.
take care of children.
Wants to know how to cook and clean and care for children.
Everyone
Yeah.
has to learn how to do that. I mean, maybe not the take care of children thing for people who really don't like
Alright,
kids.
now people have fur babies.
Fur babies, yeah.
And even if you don't like kids, chances are fairly certain somebody in your life will have a kid, so you
Yeah,
should at
so-
least know not to drop a baby.
Yeah.
You should know
Some basic baby skills.
Now, and it's like, now that I'm a, you know, self-professed feminist, yeah, woo,
Wearing the label.
it really pisses me off when I hear other feminists copying this devaluing of things that are coded as feminine in our culture, and I'm just like, fuck you. You're the reason I refused to wear makeup till I was 16. You're the reason why
For no reason other than, oh, I'm not supposed to. And Which honestly was telling someone there's a sin. I mean,
And it's not that I was told I wasn't supposed to. I was told I was supposed to because I'm a girl and I'm supposed to. But I was also told that girls are stupid and girls aren't valued and boy stuff is cool and boy stuff is what's important. And because I heard those messages, I was like, well, I don't want to do girl stuff then. I was scared off of it, and I don't know, maybe I'd be a different
girl
person
stuff,
if I
like
wasn't.
pretending to cook in the kitchen.
Yeah, which I mean,
I've never understood.
I don't think
how
it's actually girl stuff.
No.
That's why I use the term, like, culturally coded.
This is the great thing, actually. If you look at toys nowadays, because, you know, I have a little baby nephew. He has a toy kitchen. It's blue and orange, and it makes, you know, it sings songs and flickering lights. I'm like, that is not considered a female toy anymore.
No matter what children I have, I will have a play kitchen set, I will have a racetrack set, I will have a blocks and or Legos Mega
The
Bloks.
kitchen is the perfect place to teach science and math, FYI.
Right?
It really is.
I mean, same.
Oh my god! I remember one of my first science lessons I had with Kylie, I was boiling water to cook spaghetti, and she was asking about steam. That was one of my favorite moments as a parent. I was like, she's curious! It was so
It
great!
pisses me off so much that people are like, oh, cooking, that's a woman's job.
But science is for boys,
It's like,
what?
what the fuck do you think cooking is? I have to know why my souffle has to be made this way.
I'm doing chemistry and mathematics in here.
Really, all the time I have because, you know, I'm poor, so I have shitty kitchen utensils and measurements. I have to know, like, all right, all I have is a half cup, so how do I know how much it is?
I have to do math and shit.
I have to do math to do cooking. Especially if I'm scaling the recipe up or down. I have to know how to scale it. Because you can't just multiply everything by 2 or something.
No.
You can't do that. You have to know how to do it. And, yeah, everybody should learn how to
Great
do it.
learning for any gender, no matter what. And honestly, just stop making things pink. And it doesn't matter.
Housework is fucking important, okay? You know how I know that? Because right now the boy and I have gone back to school and we both work and neither of us have time to do the dishes and we have no dishes right now. So there you go.
Yep.
It's important.
Everybody should be pulling their weight.
We've somehow gone from the hijab to cooking, but I'm down for it. We're on a feminist train.
It's because I'm drunk and frunk.
Alright, so, yeah, like a boss. She won a shit ton of money, I'm assuming. Because
Yeah,
She was
probably.
wrongfully fired.
I don't know who's still purchasing
California tends to give big payoffs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Another boss of the week. So it's still in beta. It's not official yet, but Steam is working on family sharing.
Woo!
You're able to share your game with up to 10 people.
This is what I thought. I think it's like, you know, who's going to be your 10 that you're going to share games with on Steam? Like, that's going to be a tough one. Like, who's a part of my family? So, but I love the idea of sharing, but I wonder how this works. Does this mean that we can all access each other's stuff, or
I can access your stuff, Shara.
that's a drop.
Yeah.
Wait, you have to make another pun about Steam. Come on.
I can't. I'm
do it.
laughing at this Facebook
This
message.
face.
It says,
So-
oops, this doesn't seem to be possible just now.
Drunken from Facebook.
I just want to like this thing.
Basically, I think that it could be cool. I'm trying to figure out how it'll work, but I cannot wait to see what possibilities are going to pop up. Because there's so many friends of mine that have cool games, and I want to play their games, so.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited. It's super early, so we don't really have a lot of details, but yay, Steam.
Yay, sharing.
2 a.m. It's not that early.
Sharing is caring.
Puns. The
Yay.
best kind of joke.
Alright, next boss. The Boston public school system is going to serve all students free meals.
Food, another one.
Food!
I think food, water, and healthcare, all right.
And it's not just free lunches, which even if all students got free lunches, I'd be pretty stoked about that. But it's free breakfast and free lunch
Yes.
for every student.
Yes. And
That's
here's the thing.
amazing.
There are so many children that are going without breakfast or going without lunch that go to school, and some of them are really caught in this weird income where it comes across that they have a lot of money so they can't get the free lunches.
Yeah.
But they really are living paycheck to paycheck because of the homes that they live in or the cars that they own or bills that are health care problems. So
Yeah.
I love this idea because there are tons of people that they're considered too wealthy for the free lunch program, but they really do need the food. Their children are malnourished. I remember when I went to school, I had friends that were extraordinarily wealthy, lived in big houses, had really nice cars. I'd go over to their house, their pantry would be bare. Like, they would have no food, and I would always be shocked by it, but that's what happens when you live paycheck to paycheck.
Well, and you
Sorry.
can't be a good student if you're fucking hungry.
Mhm.
If you're so hungry that you're just focused on, God damn it, I need to eat something, then you're not going to be a good student. And if you can't get good grades, you probably can't get a good job, and then the fucking cycle just keeps going over and over again.
And you know what I realized? I worked with kids for a long time. Off and on since I was 12, pretty much. I've worked with young children.
Yeah, both of us have been working with kids for a long
We'll talk
time.
about that. And
All of us.
And you know something I've realized? There have been times where, seriously, honestly, I had a child acting out, and I'd have them sit down, and I'd just look at them and be like, "Are you hungry?" And they're like, "Yeah." So I'd be like, "All right, let's have snack time early." Fix the problem.
I know kids who do that.
And it's not that they're acting out like they're just. It's a different kind of acting out. It's
Yeah.
like you can tell they're frustrated about something, and you're just not sure. And so it's like
Babies do it
Are
too.
you
They start
thirsty?
crying.
Are you hungry?
Adults do it. That's where that stupid Snickers commercial comes
Yeah.
from.
Yeah, I get hungry and I turn into a bitch. You know,
Yeah.
it just happens.
We need to eat. It helps us focus. It does give us energy. But the other thing is when it comes to eating food, I know that they're really trying to adjust the standards at the schools as opposed to how people are able to, make food choices at home that you can eat whatever. But at least with the school lunches, they are really trying hard to make it more healthful, smaller portions, and we do have an obesity problem with children. And it is becoming a problem not only here but also in England. And I think that if we could try to come together as a country and provide children with food, but not just food, good food, and teaching them about nutrition and teaching them about how to take care of their bodies and everything, I think it would help the entire country. Everybody will get rewards from that. And I think that's what Michelle Obama is trying to tell people, and everyone's making all these jokes about her, but that's something important. We need to eat healthy, and it starts with our kids eating healthy and starting out with that lifestyle. So
But
I like it.
I had free meals as a student for a while when I was a kid, and
I did too.
Yeah. You just fucking need it sometimes. I don't want to go into the details, but I'm very grateful for free lunches, because otherwise shit would have hit the fan for
Yeah.
that particular time in our lives.
I always had free or reduced lunches as far as I can remember, even up until about high school, I think. And what's funny, I say funny, but not really funny. More sad, not funny. Yeah.
Very sad.
Funny tears. Like me at the beginning of the podcast. I'm laughing and crying at the same time. When I was a kid, after my parents separated, I did not realize just how goddamn poor we were. And the only reason I
If you're
did
raised in it, you wouldn't know.
well, the thing is, my quality of life didn't change that much after my parents got divorced, and the reason it didn't was mainly because we had a community, and yes, it was tied to a church, that said, hey, you buy the essentials and we're going to buy you all the extra stuff. So my mom was buying all the essentials, like the main meals and stuff like that, and then we were being supplied like the cereal that everybody actually likes, or chips and soda, stuff like that my mom just couldn't afford to buy. And so I didn't even notice how poor we were, just because we had people helping us. But I did know that there was something wrong because my friends all, every once in a while, had to bring a check to school.
Yeah.
And be responsible for that check to give to the lunch lady. So that
And you're like, I don't have to do that.
And I was like, I never have to do that. They just give it to me. And one thing I did know was that I'm sure there were kids who, I guess, were in that kind of loophole thing where their parents really don't make enough money. And so, because I remember a couple of times kids come into the lunch table and they only had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
Yeah.
And that's what they gave kids whose parents didn't pay. It's like,
wow.
You get a PB&J sandwich.
And it says in this article that at least in Boston, half of the students who were eligible for free lunch and breakfast, their parents hadn't applied for it, or
well, some people get embarrassed by it. Other people are lazy.
I'm gonna say it's not even that they're lazy. It's just who the fuck has time, especially if you're busting your ass working multiple jobs just to make ends meet. You don't have time to go down to the welfare office or whatever and apply for free lunch. Like, it takes time.
Especially since it's a college office and it's usually only open during the week.
It depends on the schools. I was a lunch lady for a while, and at the school.
You're like the hot lunch lady.
I was actually a high schooler.
I would fantasize about you.
I had a boy play an acoustic guitar love song to me in
Was
line.
it the Lunch Lady Land song by Sandler?
No, that would have been perfect, but actually, wait, I told him, I was like, you are way too young for me. Then I ended up with Daniel, who was
How old was this kid?
He had just turned 18.
Oh.
Yeah, he was a senior. But I met Daniel on the internet, and he was oh, not that.
You're young, hot on the internet.
That makes it different.
It was totally different.
You know what? It actually does.
I know.
Yeah, you can't do it. It does make a difference.
Because
I have to point it out because it does a
you
difference.
worked at this kid's school.
Yeah, but he thought I was a high school. A lot of them thought I went to school there. They were like, "Oh, what classes are you in?" And I'm like, "I'm old."
Really?
About,
They think that their fellow high school students are working at the lunch.
Sometimes they would help out. I'm guessing they were forced to help out if they did something wrong.
Okay.
Was there like every day?
So, at my school.
Like, was I really a bad person? I was forced to help.
Well, that's what makes you hotter.
Ooh, I'm exciting. No, it's horrible.
All right.
But the thing is when I worked there really is just one form you have to fill out to get the free lunches, and a couple of things you have to show, like pay stubs and things like that. It's not that complicated at the school I was working at, but I was in California. And I'm sure there are certain schools in certain states where it's a lot more complicated to fill out for. But the thing is when it comes to food, I don't understand even having to prove something so your child doesn't go hungry.
And
I think that's really crazy, and that's why I think Boston is awesome.
What? I think all essential staple food should be free anyways. That's my take on it. There's plenty of luxury foods still out there. I mean, we could have slightly higher taxes that pay for people to be able to get milk and bread and fruit
Cheese,
and
peanut butter.
cheese,
Butter.
peanut butter.
Yeah.
All the WIC foods.
That could be free for anybody. You don't have to prove it or anything. You just walk up and be like, I need this. Because who the fuck is going to choose to only ever eat peanut butter for the rest of their life?
Yeah.
Nobody. You're still going to have
something.
And if you will, you're still paying taxes for it.
Yeah, you're still paying taxes. And my thing is like, there's still plenty of extra, like, luxury food. Like, nobody has a right to eat only caviar and lobster. I don't want to exercise my right to eat caviar. No, it's gross.
I don't.
Eat it.
It's fish
disgusting.
eggs. It's gross.
But, I mean, I've said this to people before, and they're like, well, what about restaurants? I'm like, what about them? You can still have restaurants, and people who have the money to go there will go there.
Yeah.
It's not like people think
the restaurant doesn't just give you, like, here's some eggs and some milk.
Yeah. I mean, those places where they give you the meal cut up and you're supposed to cook it yourself, which I've always been like,
those places are kind of cool, actually.
I Why am I paying your money so I cook my own food? Like, what is going on here?
It's not the same.
Well, I'm gonna reel us in because we're already an hour past our news.
Wow. All right, let's keep going on. All right. Free food for everyone. Woo!
Yay. Okay, our last boss of the week is my personal favorite. Not that I'm being biased or anything, but it's an article that was in the Atlantic by a kick-ass dad who has a gender creative kid, and I'm totally stealing that phrase and using it forever now instead of gender non-conforming kid.
Oh, damn it. Now the name of the blog just left me, but there's this awesome blog where this mom raising in a similar situation with a gender creative kid, and that's what she uses.
Yep.
That term. I
But
can't
I-
remember what it's called.
But I'm going to read part of what he's got here. I don't tell most of the guys who I work with at the police department about my son. It's none of their business, and I don't trust them with the information. I don't trust what they might think or say behind my back when they should just say it to my face. I don't trust them with a kid as kick-ass and special as mine.
Awesome.
My close friends know, and I know that they are my close friends because they don't give a shit. They don't care what toys my son likes or how he chooses to dress. They just care that he's happy and healthy and that I'm being a good dad.
Why would they care? That's
Right.
weird.
Yeah, I don't understand why anyone would care. It's like, why the hell would you care what kind of toy my kid likes to play with?
Well, and
What does it matter?
He gets even better. He goes, I've slipped at times and told some of the other guys in my life, man, how do you deal with that? I couldn't do it. Not in my house, they've said. What does all of that mean? You couldn't parent a kid like mine? You'd be his first bully and make him a man. To me, that makes you less of a man. Much of the time when I confront such people, they immediately begin to backpedal and try to move on. I'm not afraid of this discussion, and many don't choose to argue with me or defend their position.
Yeah, because when they think that, but then when they're actually faced with it, they realize how that they lose some of their humanity by arguing that they should make a 4-year-old unhappy. It's like...
But it's different. It's conforming to what society deems as what you're supposed to be, or the person is like, fuck you, I'm going to be whoever I want to be, and I want my son to be whoever he wants to be, or whatever.
Just say, do you have any idea how huge balls you have to have when you're born a boy to be a girl?
Ovaries.
You know.
Huge ovaries.
They're so huge that they drop.
I'm trying to make that a thing.
That's brilliant.
Well, thank you.
Oh, love it.
Brilliant.
You're brilliant. I'm thinking Doctor Who right now.
The whole article is just, like, it's not that long, and it's fucking great. I wish every queer kid had someone like this guy for a parent.
I know, right? You probably would be completely oblivious to the hate and bigotry that's coming already. That kind of supportive person, even with a supportive person like that, if you are exposed to that kind of stuff, you'll be able to, you'll be able to deal a little bit better with that strong person behind you.
Yeah, when you've got a dad who's like, fuck that asshole.
It's great. I think it's beautiful.
And, I mean, I've said before, I was gender creative, but it was because I was told that girly things were stupid. Or, well, that was one of the reasons. And
They like to call them tomboys all the time.
Until you become a lesbian.
it's like, oh, dirty nerdy, you like to play with cars and Transformers and read comic books. That's so cute. You like to kiss girls? That's not cute.
Wait,
It's cute. Fuck you. My sexuality, it's not
it's crazy. Oh, God.
Sorry.
I get so irritated about that shit, oh my god.
I keep going off topic, I'm sorry.
No.
You're going on a topic that makes us rant is all.
Just like, there was one time when Dirty Nerdy and I were holding hands and we were walking somewhere. And
Fuck that guy.
I know, this dude started hitting on not one of us, but both of us. And it just, like, the more, like, it's been, I don't know, at least a month, maybe 2 months now, and it still irritates the shit out of me every time that I think about it. Because I'm like, if I was holding hands with Chris, I'm fairly certain that he wouldn't walk up and try to start hitting on me. But because I'm holding hands with Dirty Nerdy, who's a female, he's like, hey, they must be available.
I think that was one of my favorite things that ever happened in Torchwood, the very first episode. I forgot what the name of the guy is, but he was using that perfume or cologne that makes people attracted to you.
Yeah.
So I had this chick at the bar who was just like, oh, I don't like you, and he sprays it, and she's like, oh, come here, I want to have sex with you now, and he walks outside with her, and her really super hot, big, muscly boyfriend guy comes out, and he's like, what's going on here? Oh, and he sprays it again, and the guy's like, wanting to make out with him, and he's like, like, that's the greatest thing that happened on a TV show.
Pheromone-based roofies.
He just sprayed a cologne, and yeah, I guess it's a pheromone.
Rape cologne.
Oh, that's...
It was horrible for that but I thought it was hilarious that he was totally fine going like, ooh, a hot couple, I'm gonna go for that, and didn't care about it being this cool threesome with the two chicks. He was like, whatever, I'm bi and I like to have sex with people that are hot.
Well, it especially pisses me off, and I think it was Hina over at Skeptic who recently wrote an article about how...
Oh, claimed or whatever.
Yeah, and she wrote an
Yeah.
article about how she'll stop using her boyfriend as an excuse to say no to men when men start respecting her choices.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh my god. And you know what? As a bi chick, I've noticed saying you have a girlfriend does not work.
It doesn't.
If a guy comes up to me and starts hitting on me and I just tell him no, it doesn't work. If I tell him no, I have a boyfriend, suddenly it's all hands off. They're like, oh, okay. And then
We have to respect that union. What?
And then
It's like, oh, well, you're already taken.
yeah.
How is boyfriend happening?
You're already possessed by somebody else.
Yeah.
If I say I have a girlfriend, though,
Then they're like, oh, that's hot, I want to watch, blah,
yeah,
blah, blah.
they're like, can I watch? Can I be
That's
involved
creepy.
in any way? And I'm like, fuck no, you can't.
My sex life is not for your amusement, motherfucker.
Really bad places because I've tried using the whole boyfriend thing and they just go, well, he hasn't married you yet.
I've gotten that.
Too.
Okay.
I can be like, and flash my ring.
Yeah, because for some reason, and it might just be an American thing, the second you're engaged or married, oh, shit just got real, really? It's so easy to get divorced. People do it all the time. Like, how is that real?
Shit didn't get
Real before.
I don't understand the logic. I really, really, really don't.
But
It's, it's that whole idea that men are supposed to be the pursuer and the aggressor,
Okay.
and they're supposed to pursue the woman. And
Okay.
even if she says no, oh, well, she's just playing hard to get, because women aren't allowed to really talk about how much they like sex, and so she's just playing hard to get, so I should just keep trying.
Oh my gosh. No,
Religion that could.
I was honest with people. Okay, I actually am poly. I am open, and I'm not open to have sex with you. I will be open with people about
talking
that.
about that t-shirt I saw that said, yes, I'm bisexual, poly, and kinky, and I still don't want to fuck you.
Brilliant shirt. I want that shirt.
So that doesn't all apply to me, but I would still wear that shirt. Just
I would It's brilliant because here's the thing. Being open and having lots of things that make you excited does not mean you want to fuck everybody. And I love a shirt like that. I want one now.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, Google Gods.
All right, who's our boss of the week?
Who are our choices?
There's the dad with the gender creative son, the teenage boy who's gonna try to clean the ocean in 5 years, the awarded wrongly fired Abercrombie and Fitch employee, the Steam, and Boston.
I'm so torn with so many things. I really like the idea of sharing games. And I really love feeding children who are hungry. But the gender creative story is just one of those things that make you smile a lot. So that's tough. That's tough. And cleaning the oceans, that's just awesome.
Yep. Mine's the dad, because I have a soft spot for people who stick up for trans kids.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go with the Boston story.
Oh,
Boston's
yes.
awesome, just because for me, hungry children, not just for me personally. I've worked with children so much, and I've seen hungry children, I've fed hungry children, and it's just, I guess that's my soft spot there, so.
All right, dirty nerdy.
You guys suck. You're making me
We're
really
both
tired.
maternal on some, you know.
I was hoping you guys would both choose the gender creative thing.
So
that I
you could
do
be the weird
Boston
person?
one.
Well,
Because
sorry.
I'm torn between both of them.
Well,
Oh.
that's
Okay,
your
this-
decision.
This is really hard to make.
Would it help you if I told you that we've heard from the chat room about who won the boss or the troll of the week?
Yeah, who's the troll?
Who won?
The troll of the week is George Zimmerman.
Oh, you lost, dirty nerdy.
But you
I can't believe I lost. God damn all of you.
know what that means? It means we're gonna let Crazy Eyes take care of George Zimmerman.
Alright,
Okay.
in a second, I want to make my decision here.
All right.
I'm gonna have to go with feeding hungry children.
All right.
Boston wins.
Boston
of the week.
wins.
All right.
Boston.
Okay. Let's
So-
take care of George
All
Zimmerman.
right. Let's take care of George Zimmerman here.
I will cut you! I will cut you, bitch! Don't make me cut you! You know where the fuck you are, bitch! You don't know me!
Yeah, take that, George Zimmerman.
Thank you, Crazy Eyes. She deals with all our trolls.
Hell yeah.
All right. So the boss of the week was Boston. What do they get?
I don't have a drop for boss of the week yet. I
God
don't
damn
think.
it. Well,
You have, like, a boss.
yeah, we should
know.
have that. All right. Well, they get boss of the
Do
week.
it live! Fuck it!
I like those, like, Boston.
Yep.
Boston. All right.
All right.
What's next?
We'll be right back after this next commercial break.
Okay.
Audible.com is offering a free 30-day trial for you, the listeners of Shethinkers, to check out their service and download a free book of your choice. We personally recommend tonight's upcoming book review, Parenting Beyond Belief by Dale McGowan. It has tons of essays on raising free-thinking children, written by many well-known godless heathens, including Penn Jillette, Julia Sweeney, and Dan Barker, about topics ranging from dealing with religious family members to the Great Santa Claus debate. To download your free audiobook today, go to www.audibletrial.com/shethinkers. Again, that's audibletrial.com/shethinkers for a free audiobook of your choice. And now it's time for the book review.
Yay, book review!
Yay! And Dirty Nerdy's topless.
It's fucking hot up here.
It is hot up here.
All right. What's our book review this week? I forgot.
It's Parenting Beyond Belief.
I love this title, and I was telling you about this earlier. Parenting Beyond Belief. It sounds like they're talking about parenting that's so awesome.
Like super epic parenting.
It's so amazing that it's hard to believe that it's true, and I really love it. And then the cover of the book is cool. It's got
It looks like two hands clasped in prayer until you realize it's actually a high five.
yeah, it's a high five between the parent and a child. It's great. I love it.
So
Good job, Dale.
It's
Dale
already
McGowan.
awesome. And I've met Dale McGowan. He's a cool guy, and he's got some hilarious stories too.
I haven't met him. I'd like to meet him because I read his blog thing that he had for a while. Does he still have it?
I think so.
Okay, I'll keep reading it then.
But we've selected a little passage for you. One of the ones that Chris and I read this book together not that long ago because we're planners. That's all I can tell you.
Aw, how cute.
Yeah. So it was on sale at Amazon, and I was like, sure, I'm going to get this book, and I'm going to read it, because I like to read things. And Chris was like, that sounds interesting. You should read it out loud to me, because that's what I do. He has dyslexia, so I read books out loud to him.
He should try using Audible.
Yes, he should. But the one that we had, like, the most fun discussion on was the religious holidays and whatnot, and it was on, like, should you teach your kids about Santa Claus or not? Should you Easter Bunny or not? So this...
Should you Easter Bunny? It sounds like a dance.
I know. So this super short essay is called To Easter Bunny or Not to Easter Bunny, and it's by Noel Hyman. The last thing I expected when I got married was to face the possibility of giving up Santa and the Easter Bunny. Deny my future children the magic of believing in those imaginary characters, of staying up late into the night hoping to catch a glimpse of what no child has seen before, of knowing that the most popular person in the world thinks of you every year? The truth is, I knew they weren't real for 1 or 2 years before I really admitted it to myself. I made the joy last as long as I could. My husband's siblings, though, did not grow up being lied to, as they put it. My mother-in-law insists that learning about Santa devastated her as a child. She felt her mother betrayed her trust and lied to her. While some of the family members are still staunchly against their religion, a few of the others agreed to go along with their spouses, including my own husband. One question that enters the minds of some young atheists and agnostic parents is whether to have Santa and the Easter Bunny, if you decided to celebrate those holidays at all. How do we justify giving our children the fantasy of an Easter Bunny while denying them the security of a Jesus? I love Santa and the Easter Bunny. I cannot imagine my childhood without those wonderful nights of exhilarating anticipation. They brought a joy that only Disneyland could match. Discovering they were not real did no damage to my psyche. It was like discovering the secret to a great magic trick. Having considered my mother-in-law's experience, I set up a number of guidelines regarding the fantasy characters that grace our holidays. Hopefully the use of these guidelines will not only prevent the rare devastation that a handful of children feel, they will also demonstrate the difference between imagination and reality, between our perceptions and the facts, between the stories humans tell and the actual truths they represent. First, parents need to take into consideration the child's character. For example, my mother-in-law has an innate drive to get her facts accurate. In her mind, you don't move forward on something without first verifying every detail. Most children are not this way, which is why most children walk away from their Santa beliefs with a smile and a tradition to pass on to their children. If you yourself are more like my mother-in-law, then you can guess that some of your children are likely to be the same way as well. If this is the case with you, then you might consider banning Santa and the Easter Bunny altogether. But I think revealing the truth at a younger than average age is also an option. Age in general is another factor to consider. For most children, somewhere between 6 and 8 is a good time. Part of the devastation, if it happens, is because the child has been defending Santa's existence to friends. It is socially humiliating for an older child to learn he or she has been asserting something that everyone else knew was wrong.
So true.
It's funny to just replace Santa or Easter Bunny with Jesus in this one.
I have to say... are we done with the excerpt?
Yeah. Okay. It sets us up for the conversation.
All right. When it comes to Santa, I don't remember ever believing in Santa or the Easter Bunny. My mom claims that I did when I was really little, like younger than kindergarten age. But the earliest memory I have of Santa is arguing that Santa didn't exist in the first grade. And the only reason I remember it is because I know my teacher called my mom and said, "Hey, you need to have a talk with your daughter." She's telling all the other kids that Santa doesn't exist, and some of them cried.
So, I think with me, the problem was my sisters and I had to fake our belief in Santa for our mother's sake. And we did this because it was such an important tradition to her. She loves Santa. She loves Christmas. She loves decorations and lights and trees and going out and looking at other people's lights and trees. It's super important to her. And so up until the age of 16, I was faking it for her. Like, oh, Santa's coming again. Yeah, and we totally knew by then, obviously, but we kept on going. And I was the oldest sister, so I was much older when I was still pretending. But we never actually went, oh, I don't believe anymore, Mom. It just got to a point where I just went downstairs when she was wrapping presents and stuff, and I was like, can I help write from Santa on the presents for myself? But the thing is when I had a child, you know, I'm a pretty secular parent. We didn't do the Christmas stuff like other people. We had the Christmas tree, but I would get, like, really normal presents for her, like a potty. We wouldn't get her, like, super special dolls. We'd just be like, here's a potty, you can use that, it's really cool.
So you got her Hanukkah gifts? They were practical gifts.
I got her practical gifts, but the great thing is,
book, sweetie.
when we actually got around my mom again, the Santa stuff came up, because once again, Santa's important to my mom, and she insisted that we had Santa, and I was like, alright, she's getting to an age where she could be presented with this Santa idea, but how can I troll my mom in a way? So we presented it that Kylie's father had a different kind of tradition with Santa. Santa likes whiskey instead of milk. And he likes cookies, obviously.
Because who doesn't like cookies?
So he had whiskey and cookies, and my mom was fine with this. She was always like, okay,
Can I have whiskey?
we can have this tradition. Well, we would get more elaborate. We would have, like, Santa come in. He would always give her favorite gift that she wanted. Santa would always give her the thing she wanted.
Mm-hmm.
But he would also knock over a whiskey glass, leave tons of crumbs, and he would always leave her a letter. So it was
Really drunk.
Santa was a sloppy drunk who would leave Republican letters.
Wait, Santa was a sloppy drunk leaving Republican letters. Is he also driving this sleigh drunk?
I think so.
What an asshole.
But, no, the deer are one of the ones that are in control of the vehicle, so.
I guess that's true.
He's just getting the credit.
It's the greatest
I should
thing I've
have
ever
to
been
walk outside topless like I am right now.
Oh my gosh, but you know, I think what I did is I just kind of trolled my mom with it, but still, it wasn't horrible. Like, we would do the jingle bells outside, and
It wasn't horrible? Well, that's okay.
it wasn't traumatizing. Usually what would happen is we'd jingle the bells outside, and then we'd start banging on the walls. So I'd come out and wake up like 2 o'clock in the morning, like, what's happening? And then she'd go out in the living room, and she'd be like, oh, Santa's here again.
I think you're killing the dirty thing right now.
It's my favorite Santa story. So she'd wake up.
There's jingling bells,
Yeah.
banging on the glass.
Yes.
A knocked over whiskey glass.
Yes.
Cookie crumbs everywhere. A drunkenly scrawled Republican endorsing letter. And the present she asked for. It's like, drunk Santa's here.
Okay. I remember she read his letters, because she read at a very early age. She read his letters and she'd be like, vote Republican? I don't understand this right. He's crazy. Don't worry about him.
Why did Santa hate poor people?
Oh my god.
I think she knew it was starting from the bottom. I think she was part of the troll in her last time.
There's a troll now, you know.
She's a troll. I was so proud of her, very proud.
Santa.
I was very proud of my moment, though. My proud moment was my daughter said she got voted class clown. I was like, well, it's kind of early in the year to be voted class clown, so I asked to, inquired a little bit further. And she was like, yeah, my teacher decided to have a vote. And I was like, oh, you guys voted for, like, class president and other stuff? And she's like, no, he just wanted to have a vote. Class clown. And 17 out of the 23 other students picked me. And I was like, your teacher voted for you to be class clown? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, I'm pretty proud of this.
Who were those 6 assholes who...
The Christians.
She's put, there's like another child in the class that she actually thinks is funnier than her, but she's just louder. And
That's me and the boy. He's actually way funnier than I am, but I'm louder, so no one ever hears his joke.
You've told me some pretty funny shit the boy has said.
the choir.
He's amazing. I love him.
Yeah, but I'm pretty proud of how I've raised Kylie because she is hilarious, and I think she gets my sense of humor too, because that was me joking, and I think she got it. I don't think she was ever like, she was just like, Santa's weird.
Santa's an alcoholic Republican.
I actually wouldn't doubt that he is, to be honest. Everybody knows.
If Chris and I ever decide to actually teach our kids about Santa, it's gonna be drunken Republican Santa.
It teaches a lot of real life lessons. It does.
What? That drunk Republicans are gonna give you the gifts that you're
Wait, we're throwing out a political agenda like that. Your parents happen to have money, so I'm just gonna give you the gift you actually asked for. And every kid's money to get you asked for, but don't question it. I don't know why would make him say stuff like that.
That was one of my arguments in first grade when I argued that Santa doesn't exist. Because I knew about families who lived in places that didn't have chimneys, like apartments and trailers and shit. And I was like, what about those kids? Does Santa not visit them? Does Santa only visit rich kids? Santa hates poor kids. What about the poor kids who don't get, you know, the bicycle that they wanted or something? And all the other kids were like, well, magic. And I was like, magic is bullshit.
Yeah, that's always the argument is magic, but with us, we expect he's a drunk Republican, and he decided to give you the video game you really wanted.
Because you're rich.
That was the argument. I don't know. We have a sick, twisted sense of humor in our household, so.
I know, right?
Alright.
So, I'm just, before we're done with the book, there's 9 chapters altogether with a shit ton of essays in each chapter by famous atheists. Let's see, there's personal reflections, living with religion, which is like religious people in your family, holidays, morality, virtue, meaning of life, dealing with death, curiosity, teaching your kids science, and looking for a community. Those are all the different topics.
That's an awesome. I've never even heard of this book, and I definitely need to check it out.
It's super awesome.
Well, you can check it out on Audible. What's our URL?
audibletrial.com/Shethinkers.
Awesome.
All right, so now that we're like 100 minutes into the show, it's time for our main topic, which is superstitions.
The floodgates open.
I'm already incredibly drunk.
But Daddy actually prepared for this one.
No, I didn't.
For 5 minutes.
My boycott is still going on, okay? I did not prepare.
You were just prepared like a good Girl Scout, not like a Boy Scout. Because we still don't like the Boy Scouts.
Nope.
Fuck the Boy Scouts. I still don't like them.
But
I did look up some stuff for this.
I did some research, but I also already know a lot about this topic in that not only have I read up a lot about superstitions because they've always been interesting to me, but I also worked in a Thai restaurant and they had different superstitions than I had, and I found them extraordinarily interesting, so I will be talking about some of their superstitions that they kind of put on me, and I'll see what you guys think of my stories.
Your stories.
My stories of their superstitions.
You guys gotta be quiet while I watch my stories. I had to say it.
I know. My grandma has to say that too, so.
I have a list of...
I'm not a grandma.
That's what she would call it.
I have a list of 25 strangest popular superstitions around the world.
I heard about an turkey that freaked me out.
Oh, is it the gum one?
Yes.
Yeah,
what is on with that?
This exact one, because I was looking up I was trying to look up like strange superstitions around the world, and I looked up I saw this exact article actually, and I decided not to use it because they didn't have citations, and I didn't want to accidentally be racist by saying something that's not actually a superstition.
Yeah, this turkey one I've heard of in many places.
Yeah.
So
I wasn't sure, and I didn't want to be too prepared.
But that one freaks me out. That one freaks me out.
All right.
Superstition is in some parts of Turkey, if you're chewing gum, what is it, past midnight, I think?
It's once it gets really
it's dark, your chewing gum will turn into rotting dead flesh.
Yes.
That's the superstition. I'm a little drunk.
Sounds like zombie gun.
Yeah, it's...
Gum.
Yeah.
Zombie gum and drunken funk.
Drunken Frank.
So awesome.
Alright, I'm gonna look for my next weird one. You
That's
go ahead.
a pretty creepy
I have some really good ones. Okay.
Wait, but
Go
I
ahead.
hate chewing gum. Like, I
Well,
don't ever
then,
chew gum.
problem solved on your end.
Well, you'll never have to be a zombie.
Yay.
You'll never be a zombie.
I will not be a zombie. Alright, I got one.
Okay.
Okay, I got one. I decided to go ahead and get one from
Wait,
my own.
towards the mic.
I decided to go ahead and get one from my own. Stop making noises at me, or faces. From my own heritage, since I'm, ginger, I'm Scotch-Irish. So I went ahead and looked up the Blarney Stone. You guys know what the Blarney Stone is?
Is it a ginger superstition?
Shara doesn't know the Blarney Stone.
No, I think I've heard of it. I don't know what it is, though.
Alright, so it's basically just a block of bluestone that's built into the Blarney Castle in Blarney.
Go figure.
With a real name.
It's just, it just keeps on popping in my head.
For geographical purposes, it's close to Cork, Ireland. I don't know where that is either, so don't worry about it.
I know where Cork is.
According to legend, kissing the stone endows the kisser with the gift of the gab, which was
Kissed it.
when I was I remember learning about this when I was a kid because I have an aunt, well, actually great aunt, but she was just an aunt to me, an aunt who's from Ireland, like she grew up there and everything, and she was just in the past few, like I think 10 years ago, became a naturalized citizen, but she told me about the gift of the gab, and when she told me about it, I thought it meant the gift of being able to talk a lot, being gabby, talking a
Yeah,
lot.
that's what I thought.
But what it actually means is the gift of eloquence or great flattery. And so you're able to convince people of your position.
So a politician.
You pretty much, yeah. You're able to convince
It's
people
the-
of your position.
I'm a politician for
People. The
kiss
gift of
Blarney.
position.
It's the gift of schmoozing, basically.
The earliest story in
Which Republican never gives to people. Never gives to everyone. Oh no.
Fuck you, Republican drunk Santa. No, but the earliest story involves the goddess Cleodna. Apparently, the builder of Blarney Castle, Cormac Ladier McCarthy. I do not speak Gaelic or anything, and I'm drunk, so it's very hard to
I actually think if you're drunk, you're probably better able to speak Gaelic.
Cormac, I can't do it. Actually, I can't do it.
That word.
He was involved in a lawsuit, and he appealed to the goddess Cleodna
The
for her
goddess
assistance,
Cleodna.
and she told him to kiss the first stone that he found on his way to court. So he did, and then he pled his case with great eloquence and won. And he decided to he took that stone and built it into the parapet of his castle, and it's become sort of a tradition now. Like you can go to the castle and you can kiss the stone, and it's actually kind of dangerous because you have to bend over backwards, and people used to hold you by your feet from the parapet.
Yep.
But now there are like handrails and stuff that you can hold. It's all been,
What pansies.
Yeah, I know, right?
And this is
You
why
have to hold yourself in order to kiss this stone.
And this is why people of Blarney are so amazing at schmoozing the rest of the
I
world.
think they are actually.
This is why people of Blarney are known the world over for wait, no they're not.
Oh, wait.
So this,
But that's from my own Irish kind of heritage.
mine's messed up because
All right, go ahead.
okay, I worked at an Italian restaurant, and basically, not everyone that worked there was Thai, but they all knew of this particular superstition, and there was a movie about it. So when I was inquiring what they were talking about when they were talking about yellow ribbons on the trees, I was like, what are you talking about, yellow ribbons on trees? Is that like, we tie yellow ribbons and soldiers, and they're like, no, I don't even know what you're talking about. I was like, okay, what are you guys talking about? And they're like, we're going to show you a movie. And it had English subtitles, which was very helpful since I don't speak Thai.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Racist.
Yeah. I just watch Asian films without the subtitles.
I love Asian films.
Perfectly.
I love Asian films, by the way. But this was like a horror film, and it was based off of their superstitious beliefs. Basically, this guy goes into this house that's surrounded by banana trees. Now, banana trees, when they're grown in these areas, they put a yellow ribbon around the banana tree to hold the spirit in.
Wait, isn't that a song? Tie a yellow ribbon.
Yes, and that's what I thought.
Yeah.
No, I actually thought they were talking about soldiers, but this is a Thai superstition.
Well, you know that
Or
song
possibly
is
Asian.
somebody in prison, not a soldier. But
Yeah.
I didn't know what that song was about. I
It's
just
now correlated
yellow
with,
ribbon.
it's now correlated with soldiers, and this is why you see the yellow ribbons on the back of everybody's cars and so on and so forth. But the yellow ribbon now we're talking about, they tie around their banana trees, and it holds in the spirit. And if you go out into this forest where the banana trees are and untie the yellow ribbon, you unleash a succubus woman, ghost spirit thing, that will go into your home.
Succubi. The plural is succubi.
Well, it's one chick in the movie. I don't know.
You're only releasing one.
Unless you untie all those massive succubi orgy.
Right, all the yellow ribbons.
Oh, the yellow ribbon!
Apparently this guy was like, oh, I want to be a rebel. And then he went in and he had a girlfriend, but the girlfriend was not getting any anymore because the succubus woman was coming in. But
She's better at sex, I guess.
she was sucking all of his youth out until he became old and died.
Is that what they call it these days?
So, basically, you're not supposed to untie the yellow ribbons around the trees, and we actually had the little plant in the corner of the restaurant had a yellow ribbon around it, so of course I watched this movie and I thought it would be hilarious to mock and go over and touch the ribbon and they were like, no! They were very upset about it.
Our culture is stupid. The ribbon.
I'm a horrible person, but yeah, they
You
did
were
not.
then. You did a bad thing and you should feel bad.
Yeah, but I didn't. I thought it was hilarious personally because I freaked out. I'm like, I'm not gonna untie it. Like, calm down.
Speaking of freaking out, my favorite one, maybe people have heard of it, maybe they haven't, but my favorite superstition, I just like because my great-grandmother, who's dead now, but she was like super superstitious. She knew like tons of different superstitions, and she was like very hardcore about them, but the one that I remember the most was she said, apparently you can't bring an old broom into a new house. Apparently that's
Yes,
a
I've heard that
superstition.
one.
And you know, my great grandmother didn't have the greatest mobility. I'll put it that way. She had a hard time getting around. But when she found out that somebody was getting ready to bring her old broom into her new house that we were moving her into, I saw it is the fastest I have ever seen her move. And she hurled this broom like a javelin across the lawn into the street because she was afraid it was going to come into the house. It was
Oh my
intense.
gosh. Belief.
Like,
Powerful.
yeah, that's my favorite one. That might be my favorite memory of my great-grandmother, is her busting ass to get that broom.
You know, at the Thai restaurant, there was a broom superstition they had where you're not supposed to sweep any of the, if you're sweeping the floor and there's debris on the ground, you're not supposed to sweep it out the door or you're like gonna lose money. It's
Yeah.
a way of losing money if you sweep stuff out of the restaurant. And I was like, are you serious? They'd freak out if I was about ready to sweep stuff out the bag.
There's a ton of superstitions about brooms. I don't know what it is.
I don't know what it is either. What it's attributed to witches. There's so many things about brooms. All it does is sweep shit up, man. Like,
I don't know.
Oh,
In
really?
Harry Potter, they played Quidditch.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
I'm
like-
all for it.
I am too.
Quidditch.
That's the coolest use of a broom, other than, you know, being able to transport yourself around in The Sims.
I mean, I know there's some cultures where you jump over a broom during a wedding. There's,
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, there's some where you have to sweep some crap into your new house before you can use a new broom in your house. Like,
And you know, when it comes to some of these superstitions, like, I think they're fun to play out.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, knock on wood,
Fingers.
fingers.
I probably will look up a few, like, superstitions or traditions or whatever that are incorporated in, like, Irish or Gaelic weddings for my own wedding, just because it's, like,
That's tradition.
it's part, I feel like it is part of my heritage and everything, and so that's
There's a
cool.
difference between tradition and jabbling.
You know, I mean, I'm
There's
not
a
gonna take it
difference.
seriously, like, be upset if,
Yeah.
if somebody gives me a new broom with my new house. But some of those are just fun to play into, fun to play with, kind of like how you played with the whole Santa thing.
Yeah.
Right? Drunk Republican.
There's a ton of. We could do a whole damn show on wedding superstition.
Oh my gosh.
But there's some of like the traditions that I'm already planning on playing into. Like I'm gonna do this something borrowed, that whole thing.
I think we're thinking about doing maybe a hand tying ceremony. That was apparently a popular thing.
I've looked up Irish and Polish traditions.
I think one of the most hated superstitions in this country is the black cat one. And the reason why I hate the black cat one is there is actually a very real problem of black cats finding homes in this country.
Not only but a lot of
people
them
are
are
having so
killed
many
on
superstitions.
Halloween.
Absolutely.
Is that true? Or I thought it was just an urban legend.
No, it's not.
No, it's not. People are really that horrible, and it's because they believe in these superstitions, and these poor black cats, the only thing they have connected is, I think you could go back in history and look at what people thought were quote-unquote witches, and basically pagan people would have, like, an animal that would be connected with them, kind of like Harry Potter does, but I think my favorite way of describing it is like with Native Americans, where they have, like, an animal that they're related to.
How they kind of dealt with superstition in Harry Potter was they still looked down on superstition, even though they were witches and wizards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when Harry was having to deal with the Grimm, he kept seeing this big black dog silhouette everywhere, and Hermione was like, "Well, maybe it's just a correlation thing."
Honestly, she basically pulled out I think it's just confirmation bias, Harry.
She did.
She didn't actually say it, but that's what she argued.
She was like, because Ron said, well, I had an uncle that saw the Grimm, and he was terrified, and the next day he died. And she was like, well, maybe he died because of a heart attack from being so scared.
I love Hermione so much.
I do too. And I love the way that they didn't bring in the black cat thing. They made it a black dog. That people were, that it was such a bad thing to be scared of. I thought that was actually.
Oh, my dad's
cool.
like Cujo.
All the kids are scared of a black cat in Harry Potter because it's Mrs. Norris.
Oh,
Miss
yes.
Norris. And then Miss McGonagall turns into a cat.
Yeah.
Yep.
But she has little markings on her face that correspond to her glasses.
Yep.
I'm such a
Which
Harry
is
Potter.
adorable.
I love Harry Potter so much.
I do
I
too.
know. And I especially love My Immortal, which I'm sure we'll get to at some point in time on
we
this
will
show.
talk about that one day.
Maybe for our Halloween show. We
that would be
Harry
fun.
Potter / My Immortal.
I love Harry Potter so much.
I do too. When we do our Harry Potter show, we need to talk about how pretty much all of the problems of Harry Potter could be fixed if they had fucking therapists in Harry Potter.
We were supposed to post about
Or
that.
cell phones.
What was it, like the 5th book? I'm like, God damn it, Harry, just get a cell phone.
Just get a goddamn cell phone. But they explain like, oh, magic makes electronics go haywire or whatever, but then they have some electronics that work.
He had that mirror the whole time. I'm
I know.
so pissed. I just finished the 5th book again, just so. God.
Nerd.
After Sirius died, spoiler alert, whatever.
You've
Everyone
had like
knows.
10 fucking years to read it right now.
Also,
Oh my gosh.
I don't know.
Superstition. We're talking about superstition.
but like, after Sirius dies and he goes back to his room and finds the goddamn two-way mirror that he
Yep.
could have used the whole time. I mean, god damn it, Harry, come on, think.
Why do you have to be so angsty and shit in the 5th book? Right?
Well, because Voldemort, because he's so connected to Voldemort,
And Voldemort is
fucking PTSD and depressed and shit in that book. And so is Cho. 5th book.
Would have been fine if they had a fucking therapist.
We should have a Harry Potter episode. That'd be
I know.
funny.
We need a Harry Potter episode so I can rage about this shit.
Yeah, I think
All
that's
right.
definitely good. So
next
superstition.
superstition.
Can I sing a song for a segue into the next
Sure.
superstition?
I guess
All
so.
right. There is superstition. Alright, that's all I'm gonna do.
Alright,
That was my segue.
that's pretty good. Why are we segueing from a superstition to another superstition?
Oh, no.
Segways are awesome. Do you even segue, Brian?
I can't say that I do. Not
What,
very
like,
well.
like those little scooters?
You
We
mean,
need to have a joke
you mean
quote.
like Joe Bluth rides around? on?
Yeah, we have a joke quote for our segue when we say segue.
I think we just need a recording of his mother going, is that, Michael going, is that Job? Is it an idiot on a scooter at night? This is going to be Job.
That's a great segue. That should always be our segue. Oh my gosh. Watch Arrested
who has our
Development.
next superstition that we were going to talk about?
Let me look. Let's see.
Yeah, I talked about black cats and yellow ribbons around banana trees.
Oh, well, I will say, before we get onto it, before I left my community college, we were planning on having a superstition bash, which was basically like, we were going to set up an obstacle course where people could just, like, break as many superstitions as they could in
That's
as short an
hilarious.
amount of time as possible. Like, we wanted to do, like, little hand mirrors that they could break, and then run underneath a ladder, and then open an umbrella indoors, and
I always thought that the latter one was very...
the ladder makes sense. You shouldn't walk under a ladder because you might
That's
fall
nice.
over, jackass.
Like,
Like,
that's
that's
not
not
superstition.
superstition.
The actual reason was because triangle, and this actually, as far as I remember, last time I looked at it, or looked it up, it came from the Pythagorean cult. Yes, it was a cult.
It was a cult.
He's kind of the father of trigonometry, sort
Yeah.
of,
Mhm.
for those who don't know. But he had a sort of religious cult that followed him, and triangles, and I think this was incorporated into Catholicism and some Christian superstition because of I almost said trilogy, because of
the trilogy! Oh my gosh.
What's it called?
I love it.
You know, God, Father, Holy
Trilogy.
Spirit, the triad.
I can't call it.
Trilogy.
It's not the trilogy.
Yeah.
That's not what they call it.
No, I like the
they call
trilogy. I think I want to call it the trilogy.
The Trinity. There
Oh,
you go.
okay.
Oh fuck! How do I? I'm really.
Trilogy for $3. I like trilogy.
I think it was
Trilogy.
the trilogy.
You
no,
just
it was
invented the most awesome one
incorporated.
ever.
The whole sacredness of triangles. As far as I can remember, it started with Pythagoras and his whole little cult that dealt with trigonometry. That's
Trigonometry cult.
Yeah, seriously.
Trigonometry
It was a
cult.
cult.
And it was also based on some numerology because there's like math involved and stuff. But basically, triangles were sacred.
Right.
And then if you combine that with Christianity, with
Every triangle is sacred.
so basically, walking under a ladder, it wasn't considered bad luck because the ladder could fall on you. Common sense.
Common
it was
sense.
considered bad luck because you're breaking a triangle.
I've also
Triangles are
heard
sacred.
that there might be something correlated with a cross kind of being able to fit in underneath.
No, that's dumb. I never. Heard
Yeah,
that.
I don't know.
I've heard that one
You're
too.
crazy.
I've
Shannon.
heard all different kinds of silly reasons, but I'm pretty sure just don't walk under a ladder. That's a really, really bad idea.
You know what? I'm gonna go walk under a ladder now.
I've made a huge mistake.
Oh,
Yes.
Job.
Job.
He's gonna have to go take a forget me now.
Life is a roofy
All right.
circle.
So I also looked up a couple of.
Mickey.
I looked up a couple of other superstitions. Cher keeps having to remind me to talk into the mic.
No one to hear you.
No, you don't. And in Brazil, they have something called the caranca. I don't know if I said that right. It's Portuguese.
Is that like a twerk kind of a dance move?
It's not a...
No, it's not
No.
a dance move. Shut
No.
up. Just
Caranca sounds like a twerky dance
no,
move.
we're not twerking. No.
Oh,
Not
okay.
that. Not all that.
I'm not hip.
Okay, it's Portuguese, and it literally means scowl, but it also means figurehead. I think I said it says it's pronounced Kahanka. I can't say it.
Sounds like a dance move.
It's Portuguese, okay? It's a type of figurehead that's attached to the river craft, and it's supposed to protect boatmen from the river's evil spirits. You know, people who sail the boat. Yeah, the man on the boat.
It protects the man in the boat.
Not that man in a boat.
Just now get this.
That's the greatest superstition ever. It's the protector of the clit.
It's a pretty awesome superstition, and until you said this, I did not even think of it in that way.
Oh my gosh. Oh, I just
Now
have a
we're
horrible
thinking of it
mind.
that way.
Yes, please keep on telling us about these traditions.
Well, today they're really only found in museums. They're not really a common modern superstition today, but I thought that was a pretty cool one from
I think it's pretty
from
cool.
Brazil.
Of course it's from Brazil.
You gotta protect your clit.
Yeah, protect your clit.
Protect the clit. Alright. And then there are a few from Japan that are kind of cool, and there are some that are based off of numbers, because in Japan a lot of the words are homophones, and so there are numbers and objects that have names that sound similar to words like death and suffering in Japanese. So of course they're considered unlucky. Let me see. 4 and 9 are traditionally unlucky. 4 is sometimes pronounced she, which is also the word for death, and 9 is also pronounced ku, which can mean suffering. 13 is sometimes considered unlucky, but I think that's just imported from Western culture because of imperialism and whatnot.
13 is bad. Boo. Which, I love that it's Friday the 13th.
And then
Well, it was.
the room number 43 in hospitals is often associated with stillbirths. So, according to this, maternity sections in hospitals avoid having a room number 43, but that could just be an urban legend. You know how some people in the U.S. claim that hotels and high-rises don't have a
13th floor.
13th floor, which has a...
hotels where they skip it.
I've never been in a building that doesn't have a 13th floor.
I have been in a
It
couple.
has that many floors.
One of the places,
I've
one
been
of
in
the
hotels
hotels,
that have a 13th floor, so...
I have been too, but I went, one of the hotels that didn't have a 13th floor was in Hawaii, and
But it's still the
and another one
13th
was in
floor. I'm
California.
just calling it 14.
it's
Right.
just called 14. But I thought that
You're
was,
topless and wearing your shoes.
I thought that was just some silly thing that people were talking about, but I went to a couple hotels and saw that they actually skipped the 13th floor.
I forgot that I was wearing shoes.
So, what did we have to do? We had to go straight to the 14th floor, and we were like, every person that passed us, we were like, we're on the 13th floor. We're on the 13th floor.
Oh, how mature. Is
Oh.
it as young as you were when you untied the yellow ribbon at the pizza?
About that. You can see where Kyle's trolling comes from, I guess.
Yeah, I know. And apparently in Japan, they're just like, you know, in Western culture, there are a lot of superstitions related to death and the supernatural. One of them is you're not supposed to write a person's name in red ink, and this claims that it's because names are written on graves in red, but it also says citation needed, so take that with a grain of salt. And then also, food should never be passed chopstick to chopstick, because that's done at a ceremony where bone fragments from cremated remains are placed in an urn. The ceremony is called a hotokebashi. So,
I don't want to go to that grill.
right. So, you know, don't pass food from chopstick to chopstick. Also, cutting your fingernails or toenails at night is bad luck. If you do it, it's believed that you won't be at your parents' deathbed. So basically, you'll die before your parents do. It's kind of morbid. But, yeah, those are
So
some...
don't clip your nails because you'll die before your parents do.
At night.
Do it at night.
Don't do it at night. Do it in the morning when you wake up.
But why does that matter?
I don't know.
I don't know. It doesn't say.
Step on the crack and break your mother's back.
Yep,
Right? That's another one.
I just remembered one that my my grandpa is kind of superstitious. He doesn't freak out about stuff like my great grandmother did.
Great grandma.
But one that I've only seen him and the other people in my family do is that if you gift someone a knife, then they have to buy it from you. You're not allowed to gift a knife to somebody.
I was gonna say, what? Do they have to spill blood with it?
No, like,
You
because
must do the tradition.
like my grandpa got me a knife block when I was getting ready to move out on my own, but there were 2 pennies in the knife block with me, and then he had me give those pennies to him after, because apparently
funny.
you have to buy a knife. You can't be gifted a knife.
It's kind of like when I put my car title in my own name, because if I said it was in my brother-in-law's name, because when I tried to buy the car, I couldn't get a good deal because I had no credit at the time, so I put it in my brother-in-law's name. So when I finally paid it off and put it in my own name, I couldn't just say it was a gift because then they would be taxed for it. So I had to be like, I paid $3 for this.
Yep.
I thought it'd be funny to get a nice
Superstition tax.
put the knives in the knife block, wrap it up with a couple of $100 bills, and give it to Kylie and be like, it's part of our tradition that you have to buy the knives, so give me those $100 back. I think that
You're
would be
such
great.
an ass. my dad, when my oldest sister turned 16, my dad gave her a birthday card. I was like, you're 16, so that means you need a car. I'm going to give you a car. And she was like, oh my God. And when she opened it, there was a little plastic, like, Hot Wheels car taped to the inside of it.
Awesome.
Oh, no, it was awful. My dad's an awful person. Don't ever think anything
I
cool.
think that is hilarious because
It
that's
was
something
not.
I would do with a Hot Wheel car. And Hot Wheels are awesome if you have the right racetracks. Most of them suck.
Well, we did not.
Yeah, most of them suck. Most of them fall apart, and then you cry.
I had one pretty sweet one that was like a loop. That was pretty boss.
Oh, we had a pretty, well, we didn't. My cousins did, and anytime we hung out with them, we got to play with it. But they had
The
a
loop?
cool one with, like, double loops.
We
It's
would,
awesome.
We would practice like seeing what heights would get the most distance and stuff like that. Like,
Hooray, physics!
yeah,
Science!
I've been a science nerd since like birth, so
Yeah, and Hot Wheels, that's a lot of science right there.
it is a lot of science.
Yeah.
It's a lot of physics.
Yep. I love it.
Hot Wheels are cool.
I'd still like, the thing is when it comes to building the racetracks, there was always issues that popped up, though. It would always fall apart on me.
Well, they are plastic. so.
Yeah. I'm like, this is cool. Aw.
Did you have any suspicions or superstitions about your Hot Wheels tracks that you could share with us? That would have to be that topic.
No. I mean, I'm trying to think of superstitions that I actually believed in, and I don't know of any. And this is actually, this goes into an article that I recently read. It was trying to say that atheists actually are more of believers in these types of things.
What?
Yeah, they said that if you look at Christians, if you poll Christians, they're not going to believe in psychic stuff, or they're not going to believe in those types of things. They're less likely to believe in that than atheists. So basically they're saying atheists
No.
give up God and then go to other superstitions. But here's the thing, even if that's true, you're admitting that your religion that you found so much of who you are on is equivalent to knocking on wood and crossing your fingers and going to psychics, and that's probably not what you want to equate it
I
with.
just have this to say in regards to Christianity and superstitions and witchcraft and whatnot. Christians believed in it. They just didn't practice it because they considered it witchcraft. They considered it a sin to indulge in these superstitions.
Right.
At least that's what I was taught when I was
That's
younger.
what I was
Hey, we don't
That's what I was
believe
taught when I
psychics.
got in trouble for witchcraft, which
Yep.
will be a story for another night.
But if you actually look in the Bible, it talks about witchcraft being real. It talks about psychics being real. It talks about astrology being real.
Which to live.
Right, so they believe it's real, and they talk about it being real in the Bible. The thing is they don't practice it because it's naughty to practice.
Yeah.
But atheists like me, at least, I don't know, I can't speak for all atheists, but atheists like me, we just go, that's all BS. Like, all of it is BS.
And a lot of superstitions are religious superstitions. Like, one that comes to mind that I can think of was if you spill salt, you have to throw it over your left shoulder so you
Right.
hit the devil in the eye.
Same. He threw the entire salt over his shoulder. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
I forgot what I was gonna say.
But how is that religious?
Because you're specifically doing it to hit the devil in the eye.
Ah.
Yeah. There's a lot of superstitions that are to harm the devil or to keep the devil away from you.
What does salt have to do with these bad things? Because I know also Lot's wife turned around and turned into a pillar of salt. I think it just has to do with the region, and they just created a story around it.
didn't want to turn around because who knows what Spider-Man do.
No. I've come to a conclusion with this story. It's because cool guys don't turn around and look at explosions.
Oh my God, that's
Maybe
so
that's
true.
what it is.
I know.
Cool guys walk away from explosions.
Even Doctor Who, he walks away, he doesn't turn around. Rose, all
Damn.
cool guys.
I suspect that the whole like spilling salt thing comes because salt used to be a luxury, and
It
if
was.
you were wasting a luxury, then waste is sinful and the devil's coming for you.
So you throw it over your shoulder and
Throwing
hit
it
the
over your
Satan.
shoulder.
Wait, you
Hang
waste
it.
even more of the
No,
luxury?
you're hitting Satan.
You're supposed to, or at least the way it was taught to me, is you're supposed to scoop up the salt that you spilled and throw it over your shoulder.
These are in the days before knowledge about germ theory, right?
Yes.
So why didn't they just scoop up the salt and use it again? That's what I would have done.
Because you gotta hit the devil in the eye with it, obviously.
That goddamn devil.
I know.
Making
He
me
needs
waste my
salt in his
salt.
eye.
Ruins everything.
He also has a lot of salt in his eye.
Yep.
Wait, if the devil is the one that punishes all the bad people in hell, then isn't he the good guy?
Yes.
He's the good guy with lots of salt in his eye.
That's the Velociraptor talking, actually.
Well, I don't want to get off on a tangent. We'll save it for when we talk about hell. I'm sure we'll have a hell episode.
We have to have a hell episode. Actually, since I just watched a documentary, I won't even say what it is. I watched a documentary recently, and the people who made it actually took my quote in a comment section about it on their own wall and posted it to their page.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I'm hoping I can get in contact with them and we can possibly talk about hell.
Was it you guys that I talked to about going to a graveyard with a Ouija board?
I believe I saw that in a movie or
That was
thread.
somebody else in my in my local atheist group. Then we were planning on going to the local graveyard that's like near the bar where we meet up.
Well,
On a Ouija board. Yeah, my 6th grade vice principal would love to hear this.
Yep.
I'm saving that story, the story of how I got in trouble at school, public school, for being a witch, for the Halloween episode.
I think that'd be
Because we're going to do Harry Potter, so it'll be perfect.
Yeah.
Because you're a witch.
Which witch is which?
She's
We'll
a
call it
witch. Burn her! That's going to be a drop for this.
Oh, there's so much witch jokes we can come up with.
I know.
Alright.
Are we good?
I'm trying to think about, were there any superstitions in Star Trek? We should cover anything that might have been brought up in their cultures.
I can't. I mean, I'm sure there are some that they run into in other cultures, but I
Yeah.
can't think of any
That's
that
what
are
I'm
in
saying.
Federation superstitions.
Yeah, I don't think there were for Federation, but
There's
the
a
cultures that
whole
they ran into.
episode about, what is it, one of the Klingon, like, prophecies supposedly coming true, but it turns out that the guy was just cloned.
Yeah.
He wasn't actually.
Scooby-Doo episode, though.
Take off your mask. Oh my god.
You're
just
fake.
made of science.
I would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling humans.
No, that's not Klingons, that's Ferengi.
I know.
Still.
I just like calling them humans.
The
It's
boy the
funny.
other night was like, oh, what was he? He was saying something, but he kept saying human, and then he stopped and goes, wait, what is that from? Why do I keep pronouncing it that way? And I said, you've been watching a lot of Deep Space Nine, dude. It's from the Ferengi.
Yep.
Quark.
I pretty much always say human when I'm making fun of humans.
You silly human.
Alright.
Oh, man.
I can't think of any other superstitions that are worth mentioning because most of them we all know. Breaking mirrors and Oh, I don't know. I can't think of anything else.
Swinging a dead polecat. That's from,
I don't even know what the hell you just said.
That's from Huck Finn.
Ah.
Anyone? You remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, he swings a dead polecat to get rid of warts or something.
Yeah.
It's in a bag.
I'm pretty sure
That's okay.
So there's
but
there's no dead polecat fragments flying everywhere.
well, that makes it better.
It does. I love Huck Finn.
He was the original troll. He really was.
He was great. I love those books. Everyone should just read Mark Twain.
Yep.
It's amazing.
In fact, I think Mark Twain is in the book we
He
did
is in
review.
this book, actually, in
Oh my
Parents
God.
Beyond Belief.
Yeah.
Available on Audible.
Available on Audible.
Yeah, Mark Twain has a piece in that book, so.
Yep.
So if you
Check
go
it
to
out.
Audible,
He came back from the grave just to write a piece for this book.
exactly like Tom Sawyer, right?
Yep, exactly.
So if you go to audibletrial.com/Shethinkers,
Yay.
you can sign up for a free trial and you can read Parenting Beyond Belief, and Mark Twain is in the book. So
Yep.
there you go.
Yeah.
You don't have to actually.
Whatever other book you want for free.
Yeah, you can just listen to it. You don't have to read it yourself.
And, if you're like, I don't want kids, I'm not listening to that crap, you can get whatever other book you want.
Yeah, I'm sure that Huck Finn is actually on Audible. I'm pretty sure it's on
Yeah,
there.
I'm fairly certain.
But I will say this: the great thing about listening to something being read is you can get immersed in it, but also it helps a lot of people. I know you talked about Chris, but my sister, she falls asleep very easily when she reads. When she's looking at words in a book, she starts to get sleepy and conks out. And when you get an Audible book, she can actually listen to it, and she likes to work out while she listens to books. So
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, I love reading, but I also like getting other shit done. And if I download something from Audible and listen to it, I can get the whole apartment cleaned in like an hour.
yeah, it's like a podcast, but a book.
Exactly. It's like the podcast version of your favorite book.
Yep.
But the other really great thing with listening to an Audible book is that while you're listening to the book, you can actually rewind it.
Yeah.
Re-listen to it. I always miss places and stuff, but I don't know what it is with the audiobooks. So much easier to go back.
Yep.
So.
All right. That's all the time we have. Join us next week on Friday at midnight Central Time. Be sure to like Secular View and Dirty Nerdy on Facebook, and follow us on Spreaker and Twitter for updates throughout the week. And now, in the interest of being fair and unbiased, here is today's counter-argument. It's Pat Robertson with one of his personal superstitions. It's about AIDS. Enjoy.
I must confess, I don't know all the ramifications of infection with AIDS. I used to think it was transmitted by saliva and other things. Now they say it may be sexual contact. So what you want to say if you're driving an elderly man who's got AIDS, don't have sex with him. But that's a little too simplistic. I don't necessarily think you didn't get AIDS. So unless there's a cut or some bodily fluid transmission, I think you're not going to catch it, but it's a horrible thing. And I don't know what to say. There are laws now. I think the homosexual community has put these draconian laws on the books that prohibit people from discussing this particular affliction. You can tell somebody they got a heart attack, you can tell them they've got high blood pressure, but you can't tell anybody they've got AIDS. So I don't know, you see,
What?
you didn't catch anything, so keep going to church and praise the Lord. You got any thoughts on that one?
Well, you know, I think you were doing a good thing by transporting this man. I have known many people with AIDS and have never felt fearful, you know, of a scenario like this. I think even if you'd had a car accident.
You know what they do in San Francisco, some of the gay community, they want to get people, so if they've got the stuff,
They want to get
they'll
people.
have a ring, you shake hands, and the ring's got a little thing where you cut your finger.
Really?
Yeah, really. I mean, it's that kind of vicious stuff, which would be the equivalent of murder.
Yeah.
But anyhow, for that one, go
For
back
this
to
one,
your
church is involved.
Yeah,
I
go
think
back to
it's-
your church. You're fine. Okay.
I agree.